Yeah, something all over the place. But we just been trying not to assume from what they know. They don't know.
Who was this, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown? Wait a minute. Who's the Dr. Brown at EPA you mentioned a few minutes ago?
I would like the members of the audience to talk to someone and ask them why they did not clean when we asked them to. Why they let us. We are not in the position to move. If they would move us, that'd be fine with me. But we're not in. We can't afford to move out of the area because we don't have that kind of money to move. Relocate these people that are still living, and I'm fine with that. Velma?
Yes. Because I'm disabled. I get a disability check. My doctor took me off of work because all this that I'm having there, and all the people in my neighborhood, a lot of them have moved out, but a few of them are still here because this was a lively neighborhood when I was growing up. We didn't know that this was poison. My mama had a garden, a beautiful garden. Everybody in this neighborhood had gardens. But we didn't know we were eating poison. Every kind of vegetable you could imagine, we had it. We ate all that stuff. And everybody was sick, and we just thought we were just sick. But everybody died of the same thing, and everybody getting sick of the same thing is something you have in common.
And
that's a complaint.
The EPA says can't really say that is what problem. Yes, it is.
Would everybody have the same symptoms? Yeah. That's why the doctors called me and asked me because they found it strange that everybody that they diagnosed all come from around that area with this plant. They were all diagnosed with sarcoidosis. And there is no cure for sarcoidosis.
Well, let me hold on a second, Sister Velma and Sister Agnes, because obviously we're going to have to continue a part 2 on this story. It's if I was a medical expert, I would be able to decipher a lot of things. I'm listening as a member of the audience, and it's our obligation to get more of this information out to the general public and begin to make some inquiries on our own. Thanks for Dr. Velma Bowles giving us an insight and additional information that's not been covered here. We're going to stop right here on the communicators. Our guests have been Sister Velma Jacobs and Sister Agnes Francisco. They're cousins, and they're in a, would it be proper to say, a subdivision of Alexandria?
It's a community.
Oh, you have to speak up.
It's just on the other side of town. It's in a black neighborhood.
Okay, are you a part of Alexandria?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so in New York we have boroughs and sections, and it would be the same thing in your case. And the mayor and the council are all involved, not all involved, but they represent the citizens of Alexandria.
Yes.
Okay, so their non-response is a non-response to your particular community. Is the mayor who looks like? Wait a minute. Who looks like? No, wait a minute. Who looks like us in the city government? Who looks like black folks in the city government?
I didn't understand.
What I'm asking, are there black folks in the city government of Alexandria?
Yes, it is. And the mayor is black, and the mayor was invited to Dallas when I was there, when we were there, and he spoke as well. He knows all about it because his mother
He wasn't
stayed
the
right
mayor.
next to it. He's the mayor now, but he wasn't
He's the mayor now.
at that
But
time.
the previous mayor, Jock Roy, knew all of this stuff. Jock Roy is the one that would not come down when General Honorary put us at to the council meeting. Not the mayor that we have now, but it was the mayor before this mayor, who had been the mayor for what, about 12, 16 years or something? Of that nature? Yeah, well, he knew all of this. He knew all of this.
Now, the mayor now knows, he knows because his mother stayed close to in between just like us. She's sick.
Wait a minute, you said he's... Wait a minute, you said he's ill? No, the mayor...
He knows all about it because he was in Dallas when I spoke.
Okay.
And then we had supposed to have a lot of meetings. And, he is supposed to do this and do that. We had 2 meetings, and after that, it's like it's dead in the water.
Okay, well, it's alive in New York, and folks who are listening, their mouths are open in terms of, what the hell is going on. In my head, in the recesses of my head, there is a story about Love Canal, and I think that's up in Niagara, New York State.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do some research so that when we come back for the second interview with the two of you, we'll have done some research on our own regarding your situation and also Love Canal, and we'll reach out for people who should be able to give us some answers or non-answers that will further enhance the story of your area of Alexandria. I want to thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
May God bless
for
you.
inviting us to be on your show.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
We had put it down because nobody wanted to listen to us. And I want to thank you. I really want to thank you because we've been working on this a long time. And
Yes, we really appreciate it.
we appreciate you, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because people are dying.
Yes, ma'am. Well, to God belongs the glory, and we're thankful that we're in a position to serve you. And once again, we're operating from a streaming radio station in the Grant Houses in Harlem, USA. It's a tenant-sponsored radio program, and it's set up specifically to get information out to the broad community and the internet community, and we have successfully done that with your story, which is going to be continued in the very near future. Thank you both, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you as well.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am. God bless.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And
Wow.
this is...
Wow. That was tough, man.
For our people to be, it doesn't even, I say our people, but it could be
Any
people
human.
in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And wrong is wrong.
Hello.
And we can't, Martin Luther King said, evil anywhere affects the lifestyle somewhere else. I'm not saying it the way he said it, but this is a story that will continue because there's aspects of it that Dr. Velva Bowles investigated, and she has, when she breaks that down compared to the information we got just now, when she breaks out to us what her experience is, it's
hard.
To be continued.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they, like a lot of things, I thought about I can't think of the blonde white lady who they made a movie about, played by, I forgot the lady who played in, when she was, she got Academy Award for playing the hooker, not Jane Fonda. I can't think of her name right now, but she had a funny long name, like she was Polish or something. And she had found that they were doing something where she lived at, in oil and all that, and she went to some lawyer guy, and they made a movie about it. They wound up getting the law changed because they found people who would listen to them and fight for them. And sounds like this is sort of kind of the same type of thing where people they need someone to listen to them, because when you look around in the country, a lot of things are going on that are really unbelievable, and this is just one of them. And I mean, so there's a whole bunch of stuff. But what I've been, the reason why I was a little distracted there, Brother Leroy, is because I was setting up so that we're on our YouTube channel. We're broadcasting live on our YouTube channel. And today was the first day that I decided to see if I could do it. So that's why I was over here quiet, unusually quiet, because right. I was setting up as you can see right there, people went to our YouTube channel. They will be able to see the broadcast. And then plus, on the YouTube channel, it'll automatically record it and archive it so that if you miss some of it, you can come back later and watch it. So I thought that, going forward, that's how we're going to do that. Now we'll be able to give out tell people how they can just go to the YouTube channel.
Excellent.
And, not just come to the website or do some of the other stuff, but, YouTube, we could have millions of people. They have the capacity to have millions of people on simultaneously. And so I thought that would be a good idea. Unfortunately, like most of us, I didn't think of doing it until I was walking over here.
Okay. Better late than never.
Yeah, and then, of course, I had to sit down and figure out, well, how the hell are you going to do it? So it took me while you were talking, I was over here, like, being that. So I wasn't ignoring I was over here going, these kinds of conversations and the things that have come up demonstrate why you need to have communities. And I keep saying streaming station, and not because I'm trying to, be a corrector. That's bull. I'm saying it because I think people need to understand that we're doing something different.
Yes.
And maybe they don't know that, and I hear you saying, well, we're able to accomplish this, but I think people understand that this is different. A streaming station is more than a radio station. Now, of course, no one knows what that is because we made it up. So it's incumbent upon us to just tell people what it is. So that's why I keep saying, I see you picking it up. We stream on everything.
Yeah.
And so not only do we stream in your pocket and on your browser and all that other fancy schmancy crap that all of the little smarty pants, that's why I call them little smarty pants people, walk around here saying, but we also stream over your radio station. And the reason why the radio part of it is important, and I see that's why you emphasize it, the reason why that's important is because radio is one of the worldwide technologies that's embedded and available for everyone. And as you know, when there's an emergency, that's going to generally be the medium that you're going to have to be in, because the way that the internet is set up, someone would have to have their service powered up in order to continue to give internet. Right. The radio station is only going to be incumbent upon our transmitter. And if the transmitter has power going up to that transmitter, and of course, we've been figuring out how to do solar stuff, which we've done many times before. In fact, I was up at St. Mary's and I seen a solar communication system that we put in maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Wow.
Still going strong, baby.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So what we need the people to see here, that this is a streaming station. We'll stream on anything that you have, maybe even including a pigeon. But again, people can come here and get the kind of information that they need. You're right, because of the wonderful residents here at the place. And, we're looking to expand it so that we can have a transmitter at every building and link them up so that, again, like in here, people can come in and the stories that are not getting told can get told.
Exactly.
And that's the key to everything, particularly now given the level of bifurcation of the culture, and how we're seeing people's asking all of us to do things because they said so.
Well, thank you, and
you're welcome,
Brother Stu. and
I'm not
the
Stu.
other partners,
I'm not
Digital
Stu.
Divide.
I'm not Stu.
I know. Thank you, and Brother
don't-
Stu.
I don't look like Stu. You know, Common. You know, he was talking about Common. I just wanted to say this. I should have got the guy. There's Common has a production company, and there's a brother from the St. Nicholas Projects who a couple of people. He's not the only one. There was like 2 or 3 people who wrote movie scripts about our escapades in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
And so I got to, and this has been kind of ongoing. You know, of course, some of it hasn't panned out. One particular deal didn't pan out because the writers and the producers did not think that that when they, when the conversation came about who should play who, they thought that my idea of having Denzel Washington particularly play me, they kind of was laughing and they thought it was funny, and then they also thought it was funny that I suggested that, well, maybe they should get Danny DeVito to play Stu, which Stu looks nothing like Danny DeVito at all. And this is why we're all laughing, and the brother who's writing the script, I kind of yelled at the guy and told him that I wasn't interested in being in this movie, which just shows you how crazy some of us are. That I wasn't interested in being in this little stupid movie because who wants to have all the stupid things that they've ever done up on the big screen for everybody to come to see? Something that he never thought of. He just thought that, you're going to be in the movie, everybody should be happy. I'm not happy. And so, but anyway, to make it, I thought it fell off. And another brother came and wrote one who you met. And, he ghettoed the whole script. So, me and Stu we turned it down, because he made everything in the script ghetto. And he took the fact that we were on the front page of the Times, the New York Times, because that's a hell of a thing just to get whoever you are on the front page of the Times for some people.
That is correct.
Yes, and so we got on the front page at the Times as the electronic Robin Hood, and I kept trying to tell the guy, I said, that's a great title right there by itself.
Wow.
So, but he ghettoed it. He went back to the person who wrote the story about us, and I got a little upset with him, and I yelled at him. So, because he made it like a ghetto thing, and I kept saying, that may sound good to you, but the work that we did, we weren't doing any work, because we're in the ghetto. We was doing the work because it needed to get done. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And for you to say that, well, he opened the script, we were in the dank, dark ghetto office in the ghetto neighborhood, and this guy's black. And I said, hey, man, I can't sign on to that. So he was just being colloquial, he's a good guy,
Well,
but I was pissed off at him and I yelled at him. And the first guy who wrote the script, who I walked out on because he didn't think he wanted to have Vic Raines, which I guess people should be excited, but I wasn't, because we all are who we are. I kept saying Vic Raines can't play no ball, and I'm saying I'm a basketball player, and I can't see somebody portraying me that actually can't play. Okay, so the first guy he came back and he went to Common. Common is the rapper from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He has a TV show called The Chi at the CHI. The CHI. It's really, black kids. It's kind of sort of like The Wire, but without the drugs. It's about young kids. This is a really great series. I think this year makes it, it's on Showtime. This year would be its 3rd season. Mm-hmm. So they went in with the Common, and he submitted, as he changed the script, he submitted the script to Common, and Common was interested, and the guy came back to me last week and said, he had all these meetings, and the guy wants to do something about it. And, of course, he stayed away from the question of who's going to play yours truly. So
right.
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that.
It's right. All you want
is Denzel.
Is the story to get out.
No, I want Denzel to play me. You gotta swing.
Hey,
you gotta swing for the fences, bro.
Hey, bro.
No, you gotta swing for the fences, man.
That's, so why not?
Well, let me say this.
So why not?
Well, let me say this. 2 things. I played on the team with Gus Williams and Ray Williams and all of them. We travel around all over whatever, playing all these games. And one day, but Gus and Ray Williams, and they had a lot of the Mount Vernon guys who would come to our practices. These different guys who play in the NBA, blah, 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 and a lot of NBA guys. So, no big thing. And some NFL guys. A lot of NFL guys used to come over and play with us, the football players, because you could, beat the crap out of them and it didn't matter. So we all enjoyed playing against them because the things you could do to them was incredible. The other side of the coin is that they were masters at cutting off angles.
Okay.
And so, you can't really get away from them because no matter where you have, whatever the tricky stuff you would do to get away from a regular basketball player, a professional football player is an angle cutter. So no matter what you do, they know how to intersect. And they know how to give pain at the intersect. So how you have to counter them is that because they're playing out of their sport and they don't know all the tricks, when they get you at the intersect, you gotta like hit them because they're not expecting that. The difference is that they don't care, like most people.
Right.
So anyway, we practice at a secret location because one of the things about when you see these videos about these professional players playing and there be people in there while they're playing, well, that's a whole little sect thing that goes on where certain people are invited to come and watch, and then certain other people are invited to come and perform. And sometimes they would send like these college, like sometimes we would have these college draft picks who would come and play against us, and so that they could evaluate them to see, how do you play against some, professionals who are just out of the league kind of guys. Because you should be able to go in there and do some work against them. And they were bringing some guys, man. We go like, yo, man, you ain't getting in the NBA. You can't even kill us. So anyway, one day Gus Williams decides that he's going to bring one of his homeboys from Mount Vernon in there, who is, of course, Denzel. So we come into the practice facility, and where we were practicing at is at this complex that's a big, giant apartment complex, but it has a pool and a big Olympic-sized gym and pool at the facility. I can say the name. But but there's also, when you come through there's like a little center thing in the top part where there's lots and lots of people. So while we're down there, everybody's warming up, thinking about we're playing, I'm talking to, the name dropping, I'm talking to, Tiny Archer with the Hall of Famers down there, because these are the kind of people there, and we on there talking, shooting shit with each other. And all of a sudden, you hear everybody going crazy, and they're going nuts because it's Denzel. And you had grown men going, Denzel! I mean, I'm talking about he walked in and he lit up the whole place, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about this guy, whatever it is, this cat's got it. And I'm like in math to prove it, we're in Chicago in the cable. They had a cable convention in Chicago. All of the big time entertainers is there in Chicago at the Chicago Museum, which is on the right on the lake, and everybody's down there. A whole bunch of people. I mean, big, Foxy Brown, Pamela Greer. I mean, everybody, because it's the cable entertainment thing, and Denzel's there, and there is this unofficial line that's laying out because this thing. He's really a nice man. For people who are waiting in line just to talk to him at just a very casual affair, And the thing that struck me was that Heather Hunter was standing in the line. Heather Hunter.
I'm not familiar with Heather.
Heather Hunter, okay, so, all right. Heather Hunter is not anymore, but at that particular time, she was a ginormous porn star, black young lady, but she was a porn star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Heather Hunter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, right. And so Heather, but what caught my attention was even the porn star was waiting in line to talk to Heather, which she should have had a line of her own. But normally she'd have a line of her own. People waiting just to talk to her.
Right.
But she was even standing on the informal line just to go up and talk to him. What's going on? How you doing, But this is how people don't get a chance to. I mean, how many times you gonna get a chance to be in the room with him,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you that the guy's charismatic. The guy is the reason why he's one of the biggest, stars. So, so even though they are Common is now trying to do our script, I'm waiting until somebody stupid enough to ask me who should be playing me because it's going to be the same answer.
Well,
Denzel.
God bless you, brother.
I'm just saying.
I mean, everyone doesn't have the blessing to have a script or being included in a script.
Oh, well, I don't know about that was all. That's somebody. This guy was he's from St. Nicholas Project, the guy that wrote the script. We were teammates, and when we were in college, we were teammates. And he was one of those guys that would, sit around and, I'm gonna be a writer. I'm gonna, Cooley High thing. And I kept saying, man, why don't you just go do it? And he wound up being the sports writer, the first black sports writer for the Post, and he covered the NBA. And so
That's the brother would come up to WHCR?
correct, Michael George.
Yeah.
Michael George. So he decided that he was going to coolly high it, and he moved to L.A., and, so he wrote this particular script, which is why I could yell at him and tell him that.
Got it.
Yeah, I could get away with that. Be going, yo, man, because we was teammates. They're going like, yo, man, if you don't go get Denzel, I'm not going. Him and I forgot we got it. The professor's coming on today.
To be continued. God bless you, brother.
Same, man. Thank you. Always a pleasure, man.
Peace.
Peace, man. Okay, remember, everybody, that was Brother Leroy, and he's going to be here next week. Remember, we got the YouTube channel going, and I'm watching our live YouTube channel feed, which we're going to try to figure out how to keep this thing going. So while you're watching Brother Leroy bop out of the room, we want to remember to remind everyone to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting something that I'm not supposed to have because I'm diabetical. But I'm having a brand new grandbaby, Brother Leroy, next 2 weeks from now. And as a gift to myself, I'm going to have a Sanka coffee, and I'm going to devour the bean pie. Peace, man. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have our next team coming up, who are some great guys. Joe Ron is coming up, and we're going to get at some of the community topics of the week. Hopefully, we'll be able to get into the whole thing with regards to gun control and some of the things that has been of the current events over the last couple of months. Well, I shouldn't say that. Last couple of the last few days, and some of the things that have been actually going on, which we think has been atrocious. Now, and Joe Ron just walked into the studio, and so what we did, Joe Ron, to counteract the other thing, we are, as you can see over there, we're going on our YouTube channel today, and we're going live on our YouTube channel because we don't let no one thing just stop us, because that's not how we go. YouTube, you go to YouTube, and I think you type in live at Grant, and you'll see Joe Ron with his big face standing ready, because we're using this camera right here, J Ron, because we looking at it. Yeah, so that it's going to take a second. Go ahead, it's going to come back. It's going to take a second, and you'll see Joe Ron giving himself a selfie. I don't know if that's real. There you go. Yeah, that's Joe. The boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's Joe Ron giving himself. So if you go to YouTube, I think it's YouTube, and just type in B1 Harlem live at Grant, and you'll see us. Here in the studio, we're testing it out. This is the first time we're doing it. Usually we go through our website, but I'm going to have Stu put this feed on the website so that when you go to the radio's website, this will automatically be there. And anything that we do going forward, like next week and everything, will be recorded and already be on there. Okay. And then that way we'll have the archives and all that stuff. Now, what's the name supposed to be here today? The other guest, is nobody else out there, is there? Check outside because I think I told her to come at 5. Yeah? Is it 5-ish? Okay, so anyway, that was Joe Ron. You just seen him walking out our studio, headed over to what's the name? I'm going to get the professor. I'm going to get the professor on the line, and we're going to get at our here he is, the professor. He's called in, so we're going to go ahead, and I'm lining the professor up right now because he just called in, and see if we can get him to participate. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'm getting the professor. Okay, it's okay. I told her 5, so she might have forgot because I'm calling the professor because see if he's. Let's test it. Get the mics going here. Okay, I fixed that. Let me see. Go ahead, give me a test. No, go ahead.
Yo, testing.
Okay, there he is. Okay.
Cool.
Hold on. I'm going to hold on for a second while I see if I can find the professor. Okay, we have the professor. He's here. Professor, let me get my. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Professor. Professor, okay, let me throw my thing. Professor, can you hear me now? Hello, Professor Dotson.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Professor Dotson's on the line, boys and girls, ladies.
Kind of low. You could raise them up.
Okay. Can you give us a volume check there, Professor?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing,
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Excellent. I'm glad you're on with us, Professor. Let me just get the introduction. This is, the Joe Ron Show, Issues in Sports. What's the name you call it, the thing there, Joe?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And, of course, on the line we have one of the excellent, great, I want to say, scholars. I usually call him a Rhodes Scholar, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to call him a Rhodes Scholar because he is that. NBA draft choice, drafted by the Cowboys, college All-American at Columbia University, also a trained lawyer, my pal, my buddy, Professor Hayward B. Dotson. The B stands for bad. Hello, Hayward.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Okay, so, Professor, before Joe Ron gets in with his, what do you call it again, Joe Ron?
Good afternoon.
Before he could get into the good afternoons, I wanted to talk just quickly about the current things that I've heard on the TV over the last few days. Like, I've heard a lot of people asking the question, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are broadcasting and streaming live from our wonderful studios here on Amsterdam Avenue, and we're also live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. We're doing it today. So after the show is over, you will be able to hear the professor, hear Joe Ron, see Joe Ron, by the way. You won't be able to see me because we only got the camera on Joe Ron. And but me and the professor are acting in concert, incognito, as we bring the information. So I just want everybody to know, you go to YouTube and you go live at Grant, B1 Harlem, live at Grant, and you'll be able to get us and be able to get us live. Now, Professor, I heard all these people talking during the week about they're concerned about who we are, and keep hearing that terminology. Well, we got to ask the question who we are, and I'm making the point that we don't need to ask who we are. We need to ask the question what we are. What say you, Professor?
What we are people struggling to understand what democracy means in the modern age. And that permits some people to come in through the front door and do us wrong. It permits some people to do us wrong by staying in the cracks of our society. And then under Donald Trump, we've never, in the last 25, 30 years, we've never had the American people exposed just to his own brand of racism, European chauvinism, anti-immigrant feeling, as well as denigration of democracy. Those are all serious charges, and Donald Trump is responsible for teaching us today what we don't like about all those things and what we do like about democracy.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think that and this is just my own personal opinion, but I think that the media has to pick up their fucking game, man, because I think that their game is shoddy in that they ask the kind of stupid, asinine questions that they're trying to get someone to say something so that it looks like they can get it up back. They're acting like employees. They're acting like lemons. They're making it very clear that they're asking, there's no creativity, they have no credibility. I think when he calls them fake media, some of it rings true to me because, I mean, how could you spend 2 years trying to, when somebody lies for 10,000 times and you're still asking people, is he a liar? Or he locks kids up in the cages and all the other stupid stuff that we've seen, and people are still asking him, is he a racist? I mean, come on, that's not, those people are not truth tellers. Those people are just there and asking the questions that'll help them pay their rent. You know what I mean? You could see that.
Well, but again, that's to be expected in a democracy. Newspaper people, television people have a very precarious position because all they can do is ask provocative questions.
They're not asking provocative questions. That's my point. They're asking stupid asinine questions, and they're asking the same stupid ass questions over and over again. For instance,
but that's because they have to be newspaper people and journalists after the president as well as during his tenure. And it's very difficult when you too, just like every other citizen, are being exposed to a new type of rhetoric, a new type of attitude. You respond as journalists respond, which is usually to ask another question. Try and put the interviewee on the spot.
it doesn't work.
That's just not enough here under Donald Trump.
Thank you.
He waits for that, and I think we're going to see not only the maturity of the Democratic voter as 2020 approaches, but also the new focus for the journalism, newspaper, and television streams that are out there, because they too have learned after 2.5 years what they should be asking, what they are not asking, and what Donald Trump will use to his benefit if they don't ask. So it's a work in progress, and they, just like every other Democrat in this country, every other citizen, are taking baby steps because we've never seen a Donald Trump before, and he is teaching us so much about the democracy that we've heard about, read about, perhaps never experienced, but which is now being thrust upon us.
Okay, Jaron, as your friend and our buddy Rick Young would say, what becomes present for you when you hear the professor say that?
Well, right? So, well, to me, I don't even understand democracy. So I'm looking up democracy now, and it says a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of the state, typically through elected representatives. So from that definition, it feels like I can't really answer to none of that. I'm not elected official. I can't really.
Do you have an opinion, though?
No, I don't have a strong
Okay,
opinion on
good.
this one. I
Okay,
like giving
good.
strong opinions.
Okay, you don't have a strong opinion, good, because I do, and I think I disagree with the professor that the professional journalists should be given a pass. They shouldn't be given a pass no more than the professional police officers who act out of fear. They ask questions out of fear of keeping their jobs. They ask questions out of following directions, and they look like employees. They ask questions like employees. They're not. Can I finish?
Normal.
I know that.
Professionals, for police and others, and to ask the journalist community at this stage to be a little bit further ahead than other democratic elements in our society, I think is wrong.
I'm not asking them to be ahead. I'm not asking them.
In 2020, as the election approaches, and they should be using some of the lessons that they've learned.
I'm not asking, this is the point I'm making, so let me clarify. I'm not asking them or suggesting that they should be, I'm just calling out what I see. Mm-hmm. I'm not asking them to be anything. In fact, I would ask us as citizens to be ahead and not to expect them to use your particular point of view, which I actually agree with. You know, we should expect that they're not going to ask the right questions, and we are the ones that need to be ahead. And I think we've been, as a culture, the people, we've been woefully behind in paying attention to people who have not acted in the proper manner. And I say that the journalists and a lot of others in our culture have not acted appropriately, and they have not been truth tellers, and they have not been honest brokers. Because if they had, it doesn't take 2.5 years to figure out when somebody the first day says this group of people are shitheads, or this group of people, but he did that from the first day, and they did nothing. They said nothing, just like they didn't say nothing when the young white kid walked in and killed 27 little kids. They did nothing. And when you, all I'm saying to you, now we come down the road, you seen a young white kid go into a church in Pittsburgh and kill Jewish people. You see a young white kid drive 900 miles to kill Mexicans. You see a young white kid kill 9 people in Ohio. You see a young white guy go into a club full of gay people in Florida and kill the people. You see an old white guy in Las Vegas kill over 50 people. And what do? They get on TV and they tell you and I, that's you and I, they tell us that the guy had a gun that killed 9 people in 34 seconds. And we should get rid of guns. As if to tell us that the frequency of killing somebody should mean something. We should use that as an algorithm for what's going on. This shows you how stupid this is. When you should be asking yourself, and I'm saying this as a convicted felon. That's what I am. I don't know. I don't think you are one. Maybe you one too, Jerron. Are you one, Jerron?
Yes.
So you're a convicted felon. The professor is not. So this is a good conversation because you got 2 people here who have been looked at by the society as not being such nice guys or being jerks, me and you. And then you got somebody that's an actual professor. The point I'm making is that the point that I'm trying to get to is that they're asking us to validate or to go along with people who are clearly not acting as other. I mean, come on. If I took 2 Walters PBKs, which are the James Bond weapons that are 9mm that can fit in the palm of your hand, I put an extended clip on both of those, and I killed 9 people in 20 seconds instead of 9 seconds. Is that going to make anything better? No, but they stupidly come out and tell people this stupid crap that, these are weapons of military weapons. All weapons are weapons of personal mass destruction. It doesn't matter. And are we going to have a background check? When somebody's holding a pistol on you, you're not sitting there going, I wonder if they did a background check on this guy.
Well,
come on.
but to be fair...
Be fair. No, I'm not trying to be fair. But go ahead. But go ahead, Professor.
To be biased like you are, Doug,
Thank you.
it's quite clear that Donald Trump has caught several groups by surprise. What he says, what he does, his attitudes. The journalistic community is no slower or quicker than any other community in finding that out. For instance, you have not heard any police department come out and say that what the president is doing is wrong, immoral, leads to ineffective policing. And yet they could have too. You have not heard anybody from ICE and from the Border Patrol say that what the president is doing in terms of physically and psychologically trying to close off the borders of this country make their jobs inherently more dangerous, but also affects the way they go about being viewed as servants of the Statue of Liberty, as servants of children who come and have all sorts of problems, including not being able to stay with their parents. All of these things, if you are a father or a mother, are clear to you. They are not clear at this point to all the professional groups in this country because Donald Trump has gotten the jump on them and they've been backtracking ever since. And one other point. Right now, we have more minority, African American, American, Hispanic women involved in delivering the news to the American people than we've ever had before. We have black men sitting on panels on NBC and ABC discussing things and we've never, not even under Martin Luther King or Thurgood Marshall, we've never seen African or American African men discussing things. Now, so far they've been ineffectual, but they have to go through training season, as it were. And I think that is, in fact, training season. Even the old-time racists who kept the lid on for the journalists and the news have had to make a change. It's not a big change, but they have to let minorities, women, speak now. Up until 2 years ago, that simply was not occurring. And if it continues the way it's going, we're going to have an impact on Mitch McConnell. We're going to have an impact on Donald Trump getting elected for a second term in 2020. But then, by then, it will be 4 years. And yes, people will know some lessons, they will absorb some lessons, and they will be able to chart where they want to go to combat what they consider to be a nefarious, evil-minded, shithole-calling president.
Well, first of all, I would say that, remember, he is the what they call him, disruptor in charge. What they call him? He's a disruptor, or the Mister. He's a disruptor in charge. And I thought about that. I said, wow, disruptor in charge, DIC. Yeah, that's what he is. He's a DIC. I agree with that. And that he is, in my mind, I think that the problem that what I can say problem, but I think that when you really look at it, you know, it's clear that he has to go, and they have no mechanism to do it. They have no. It's never been done. It's unprecedented.
Well, I'm sorry, journalists, police officers, and the rest should recognize that he has to go, but it's the democratic vote by citizens that will make him gone.
Well, first of all, I think, dig this, I would agree with that, but I think that the idea, the notion that people can get a term at office, and I'm not talking about the 2-year people, but people can get a term at office, and there's no mechanism for a recall where people can go, hey, you know what, we fucked up, we made a mistake, and that's what recall means, you know, that they can go, and some states have it, like California, where they can go in the middle of your term or the beginning of your term, say, you know what, this shit ain't working right, we're gonna throw you out now. And I think you're going to need that. He's demonstrated the fact that you're going to need that, because think about it. You have people like, again, just like we just saw up on the big screen here, for those of you who are watching us, up on the big screen there, they just had Mitch McConnell saying that he's going to take up gun control, you know, in 4 weeks. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You've had...
Well, he's trying to kid you. He's trying to delay what he does not want to do, and he is in cohorts with President Trump.
Well, he's more...
very much so, or a little bit so. But his actions and his words come out as him being in cohort with President Trump.
Okay, him being in cohort. If you want to see the thing online, come on, man. If you want it online, we'll give that out, man. If you want to see us online on YouTube, just go to YouTube and type in B1 Harlem Grant live at Grant. That's all you have to do. Type B1 Harlem live at Grant, and you'll be able to get us. I've seen Joe Ron over here trying to look at the screen, and you know he ain't even got him don't even got his glasses on, and he over there looking at the screen without his daggone glasses. You know he can't see nothing. He gets. That's my point. That's my point.
You gave a very good point just a minute ago about what the process, educational otherwise, has to be. It is going to take a while for your new broadcasting system and the Grant House's residents and their control to kind of fix and get a viewpoint that they can use going forward, not only against President Trump, but against nicer officials, against people in HUD who are trying to not improve their homes substantively. This is a learning process that has been forced on everybody, just about, by Donald Trump. And he didn't know he was going to do this, but like the entertainer that he is, once the circus started, he wanted to be the circus master. And right now we have to listen to every tweet he makes. Why? We have to listen to every look he gives.
Why?
We have to listen to all the denigration he gives to fellow Americans, fellow citizens, because he is the puppet master of this show.
Well, first of all, I would disagree with the point that we have to listen to do that. I think you're making my point, or making part of my point, of the media, which is controlled by white men, and that the people who you see on the news. This is what I'm saying. Let me finish.
Is controlled by white men.
Say that again.
Everything in this country is or was controlled by white men.
I don't think people heard you, man. You might want to say that one more fucking time.
Everything in this country is or was controlled by white males.
Okay, I had it, Jerron. We were in here 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and I said to Jerron, "Okay, let's go in the Google machine and find out the top 10 richest people." Jerron pointed out to me that I wasn't specific enough. So he made me come back and say, "Okay, let's pick the top 25 people in America," and they were all white men.
Yep.
And so, I mean, so that proved that. The point I'm making is that I'm not sitting here as Nostradamus or acting like I'm Nostradamus and trying to say I know why they're acting like that. I mean, I have my theory, and we've talked about it. I think it's all about winningism, and I don't know anything about any other kind of issues why they're doing why they may be doing what they're doing. But what has struck me is the incompetence of the media, incompetence in the fact that they are acting in concert with him only because, and I don't mean that intentionally, only because, as you said, they're not only are they not educated, but they're white men who actually run that, and that's a commercial enterprise. It's not like we're sitting here. Go ahead, wait, you want to test it? Go ahead, man.
Yo.
Go ahead.
Test.
Okay.
We good.
Okay. You move from one microphone to another. You don't want to be hitting on it because then we got to hear that. Just letting you know, J. Ron.
Okay, now I know.
Now you know. So, but the thing that really, I think, Professor, that really bothers me, and for those that listen, just everybody know this is 959, 95.9 FM, Part 15. We're operating under the Part 15 radio license. For those of you who don't know what it is, look it up. And the reason why you hear cursing every now and then, because we don't have a license and we don't need one. And so we can say whatever the F we want.
And we're not controlled by the white
and
man.
we're not controlled by any man. Okay, not only the...
And admittedly, that too is new, and a lot of people are just getting used to it. But it will be an effective tool. This new ability to communicate will be an effective tool as time goes on.
Well, here's my thing. This is number one. I don't think that if we're trying to help people to be smarter, we have to make people recognize that everything that they're saying about handguns is bullshit. Everything that they're taught. The NRA said, and I agree with the NRA. The NRA said no matter what they do, the background check would not have stopped the guy in Mexico. And they're right. That would not have stopped anything. The fact that people are talking about how many bullets are used in 9 minutes or 10 minutes is not going to stop anything. What they're going to have to do is make a decision. Is the First Amendment, is the Second Amendment run amok? And if that is not the case, which I think anybody that has a brain knows that the people who espouse the Second Amendment as it's currently practiced in this country are acting like petulant children. And I don't want to register my gun. They want to have weapons, and they don't want to have no regulation and no responsibility. And I think people...
That would also be the view of George Washington.
Okay.
Alexander Hamilton.
Okay, well then call me Dougie Washington. Call me Dougie Washington. Call me Dougie Hamilton. All I'm saying is that we have a system where there's no rules or regulations, and somebody needs to be the grown up and step up and say, either we're going to have the guns or we ain't. If we're going to have the guns, then we need to have rules and regulation. That's no problem. Nobody cares.
I think
you think what?
Some of the Democratic candidates, and particularly people like Elizabeth Warren, like Bernie Sanders, should they win the Democratic nod to run for president, will in fact have an agenda, a program for all that you've just been talking about.
Well, they're going to have...
And I think with all the other candidates, particularly if a Democrat wins, we're going to have an attempt to actually get legislation and laws in place for the
Okay, but dig this. And you was an All-American basketball player. I've been a basketball player. Nobody gives a shit if you figured out how to dunk for the first time, Haywood. Nobody cares. You know that. I'm just saying, and I'm breaking into both him and I sports history. Mm-hmm. But because I take a lot of my life lessons from sports and the stuff that I learned, on team sports. To me, the idea that they're going to finally do something for the first time don't mean fucking shit to me, man. It's bullshit. You're going to now all of a sudden you're going to do something after all these people have been killed.
Okay, my thing is why when they
yes, because that's the way it was designed.
Thank you for saying that word.
First elements got control of the Second Amendment and having a rifle or it's an AK-47 up over your fireplace. Because all of that, remember, was to be done in case the government troops came.
Exactly. Like a militia.
You had to take up your arms against the police or the colonial police or the government troops of another country.
No,
that's why we wanted free access.
But Professor, everybody gets that. They keep throwing that out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about guns are technology. That's what they are. Because before we had guns, before somebody figured out gunpowder, we was going around beating our food up with a stick.
Oh, we were using bow and arrows.
No, the bow and arrow came later because somebody had to figure out. Oh, sweat! Guess what we could do? That's again technology on how to do. But those are weapon technology.
Not really being fair.
I don't have to be fair, Haywood. I don't have to be fair. I don't have to be fair.
A lot of countries, at the time that we started with the Second Amendment and guns in general, a lot of countries forbade all guns. Even today, you go to places like England and France, you cannot have a gun at all.
And to prove that,
our country's history is just different. And
it's not different.
At some point, it may have taken 250 years to kind of change our working philosophy.
Well,
that's what it is. It's a working philosophy that we have in this country.
Haywood, I'm unwilling to give them a pass, man. I'm unwilling to give them a pass. I'm unwilling. When I hear you say that, I'm going like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care that it take them 250 years to prove that they're petulant children, man, and that they don't know how to run a country with other people in it. They don't know how to be good teammates. That they would get up there and say selfish shit like the reason. Doug, what?
People who had us in slavery.
Okay, then why do we continue to act like that?
We African Americans would still be in a form of slavery. Mexican and Hispanic Americans would still not be permitted to come into what was their own country and which we illegally took from them.
Well, first, let me just say this, Professor. This is what drives me nuts. I listen to them to talk about immigration, and I know that is all bullshit because I and my little brother, about 8 or 9 years ago, we drove across the country and back in a car. And I'm telling you, to anybody who hasn't done it, once you do that, you'll realize that this immigration and protecting the border is bullshit. They cannot cover the border. The shit is fucking-enormous. They can't do it. The shit is huge. It's huge. It took us
2,400 miles long.
It took us. We left 125th Street and 8th Avenue on a Friday night at 7:30. We drove non-stop, and we only stopped for 5 or 6 hours in New Mexico for the whole trip. We didn't get to Santa Barbara, California until Sunday night at 10:30. We drove across the whole country. They're not. I'm telling you from doing this, they're not going to be able to protect shit.
Well,
I'll let that sink in.
It does not mean that they should not try.
Yes, it does. It means that the stupid shit that they're talking about, it's not going to work. That's what it means.
It does not mean that as a sovereign nation that is
this is not a sovereign nation, man.
That it wants to make its border should not try.
Did you hear what he just said? That stole all the land on this border. That they should not try to. They should not try to act like it's theirs.
Rome to Greece, all of these societies that ruled the world for 20, 30 years, they stole them to begin with.
I just find it. I find it interesting that you can actually tell us on one hand they stole everything, and then on the other hand that they should be trying to protect the shit that they stole. I mean that's crazy.
Well, I'm saying that they are trying to protect the shit that they stole.
That is so crazy. People need to know
They're all
that.
trying to protect the stuff that they stole.
No, you said it right. Remember, a guy was on here earlier today. On the station, and the guy came in, Bernstein, he wasn't here, Tate Bernstein, white guy, he's a reporter, he came in, he sat down, and I said, hey, yeah, man, we're operating under Part 15, and we're going to really take a real long, deep dive in some of the shit that's going on. He said, oh, you're going to lose your license, and both Stu was here, and both Stu and I turned around to him and said, you can't lose no license because we're operating in the unlicensed spectrum. So there's no license.
And that's a very hard concept for white people in particular, but all people in general to get used to. They are now with new technology and all of this.
Gerard's getting cameras out.
Ways
Oh, this is crazy.
to work in all of these areas that never existed before.
Hey, Professor, I just want to say this. I just want to say this, and this is really sophomoric. But Joe Ron has moved to get himself better camera time. better camera. He's got big time face. He got his whole face in the camera. Go ahead. You can ask the question.
Okay,
I'm sorry, man.
Professor. This is not a digress moment right here.
It is.
No, we're gonna.
But that's okay.
I want to know why, when they report the shootings all over, these mass shootings from these young 21-year-old Caucasian men, why does a witness always say it was more than one shooter?
I didn't hear that all the time. You hear that all the time?
I hear that mostly all the time.
And so what's your question to the professor?
Why do you think that the witnesses are always saying there is more than one shooter?
Are you asking him as a lawyer or a professor?
A professor.
Okay.
And a lawyer.
Did you heard that, Professor?
Would you repeat it?
Yeah, I want to know, why are the witnesses stating that there are more than one shooter in regards to these mass shootings that's going on all over the country?
Why are there one shooter? Why is it that
Well, the news reporting one shooter, but when they give eyewitness accounts, they say it was multiple shooters.
Why, when they have a eyewitness account, that the eyewitness will say there were two shooters when generally there's only one?
Or multiple?
Right. It may be conspiracy between members of the police department or the news media, and those who perpetrate these crimes. It may be, I have a different question. How can it be that
Think he put the speaker on? I think you got us on speaker, man? Sounds like you got us on speaker because it sounded like you went far away
Yeah, it got a little distorted.
Hello.
I'm just curious as to why Jesus defied these messages, these young guys. When I hear that somebody has found with an AK-37 outside of that list, 20, 30 people died, I know immediately he's fighting. Because a Hispanic person and an African American.
Where's that siren coming from? You hear that siren?
Probably on his end.
You hear that? Is there a siren over there where you are?
Where I am?
Yeah.
No.
I hear them. You hear them?
No problem.
Okay, cool. All right. Maybe it ain't over here, but there's some siren activity going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you were saying. Okay, listen. Hey, listen. Here's my thing.
My point was, how come it seems that all of the races
Yeah.
perpetrators of these crimes
Yeah, I have.
live, and once we go back to crime, and this crime,
You're fading, right?
Yes.
Hey, Professor. Hello, Professor. We're fading, and your voice has gotten quite low. Can you speak to the bombastic person that's there and get them to speak with bombacity and force?
Well, I'm trying to talk as loudly as I can.
Hey,
You're back.
You're back. The professor's back, ladies and gentlemen. You're back.
Okay.
Okay, bombacity works. Professor, I've been making, look, as they're showing on the big screen, look at all those guns, man. We're watching CBSN and Face the Nation. They're showing on the big screen that we have here in the studio the DIC, which is the disruptor in charge. DIC, better known
President.
Better known as President.
45.
Better known as President Dick. The fake president. And I'm being disparaging to him because that's how he is to everybody around here. And I don't got.
That's how you are to everybody around you.
Professor, no
He's
need.
trying to pull your card on live.
No, he did it. He ain't tried. Hey, Professor, no need to get personal. I haven't gotten personal. I haven't done that. It reminds me of I don't know if you ever seen this movie called As Good as It Gets.
No, I have to see
This movie, As Good as It Gets, is the only movie, one of the very few movies where the best actor and the best female actor and the best male actor won the Academy Award for the same picture at the same time.
Oh.
Jack Nicholson and this other lady.
Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson and this other, I can't think of her name right now. She won the best actress movie. And the movie is As Good as It Gets. And the movie is about that title. Sometimes life is what you see is that's as good as it's going to get. But anyway, in the movie, she comes to his house because he helped her out. He was a eccentric person. He did something to help her out, got a doctor for her kid and everything.
Oh, okay.
And she thought about it, and she went from her house, and she was so loathed by the guy. She came to his house, rang the bell on his house, and she was staying there. He gave her a towel. He was a germaphobe and all that, like the president.
Yeah.
And she said to him, "I know you helped me with my daughter, but I will never, ever, ever do anything to help you. I would never sleep with you. I would never do any of those things." And he looked at her and he said, "The complaint department is closed." And he said, "I think you're taking things personal, and I haven't." You see what I'm saying? So this is why I said that to the professor. So even though I may be a psychopath to him or a misanthrope, these are all SAT words for the kids who may be paying attention to us.
So,
but go ahead.
So, Professor, the answer you gave when I asked you about the multiple shooters, that's when you got kind of distorted. I didn't even get a full answer.
What was it? Can you repeat the question to him?
Okay, yeah. So they have. I'm on
Just
YouTube.
make sure he can hear the question.
Can you hear me now, Claire? Professor?
Just barely.
Because you're way over there. I'm going to repeat the question. Go ahead. I'll repeat the question because he's coming over here.
Okay, yeah. So I'm watching MSNBC when they had the El Paso shooting. It says of active shooter situation in El Paso, Texas. Police have reports of multiple shooters. I want to know.
Why are you reading that, man?
I just want to know about that one, and then also
we just got through talking about how stupid the reporters are and how they have no integrity. Now you're going to come and read their
because
you're going to present the evidence. Go ahead.
I'm looking at the investigative journalists. Those investigative journalists, they get deplatformed very quickly because they want you to read from the same monologue.
And Doug, in a sense, that's my point. This is all an experiment in learning going on now. For every citizen, for every police officer, for every teacher, for every journalist. Donald Trump and the venom that he spews and the negative attitudes we thought would never be in the presidency that he has brought has started an educational process for all of us. And we're at different stages right now, but as 2020 approaches, you're going to find the different stages starting to coalesce, and it will be an anti-Trump 220 movement.
I hope it's an anti-white man who loved Trump movement because I think that he stands alone for being the DIC, and I think the thing that annoys me the most is not him, but the people around him who are explaining to you and I, that's you and I, explaining to us what the 72-year-old white man who speaks plain English, what he meant and what he said. Just fucking stupid shit that they're using on us and telling us this crappy stuff that we should be. And I think that is so.
It may be that journalists and newspaper people are locked in.
I should say how I really feel.
They have been.
Okay.
And I personally see a little bit of change coming, not only in the questions that they're asking, but some of the things like focusing on Trump being a liar.
That's true.
Focusing on Trump being a racist.
True.
I mean, I've heard it come out of their mouths now in the last 3 months.
That is true.
And so I give them the benefit of the doubt, just like I want average citizens. to be given the benefit of the doubt, because all of a sudden, as an average citizen, you have to think about what democracy means to you. What does the Constitution mean to you? What is the impediments or the benefits of the Second Amendment? All of these things never had to be thought about before, whether deliberately kept that way by white men or by journalists, but now they're all out there and they're all being considered. And when you have this new technology, they will be considered from now on every other week. And that's bound to lead to a different type of education about what we expect the democracy to operate like.
So who do you think is going to be our next president? A black guy, white guy, Asian guy, a guy that likes the same gender? What's the world coming to? Maybe he didn't hear that.
Thank you, Joe. I'm so busy listening to your question. He said, who do you think going to win the president? Black guy, white guy, bake candlestick maker, Indian chief? Which one? I added that. He want to know who you think is going to win.
I find it a very exciting time. Just like all these people who, particularly black people, who remember Barack Obama as the President of the United States. But this president took us, the average citizen, into the White House. We saw the flags. We saw the Lincoln Room. We saw he and his family, how they were able to act like a first lady or the first daughters of our nation. All of this was educational. And in his own way, Trump has been educational, even if it's only about how Hitler and Mussolini were able to take control of Europe and murder all of those millions of people.
Well, so it sounds like this dude is in good company. And again, I'm gonna be, as my kids say, I'm sidelining here in the Geronimo. I'm gonna be sidelining. And I'm thinking that you cannot let his explainers off the fucking hook, because those are the people that I think are exhibiting the greatest and out front amount of racism by getting up and acting like that what he's saying is okay. And furthermore, I think the idea that they are financially supporting him, I think they should be outed. Because as when you and I used to do the other radio show, Professor, I know you recall that when we would have these same kind of conversations, we're going back, when we did that show 10, 15 years ago, we would have these conversations. I remember we would be saying people need to shop for democracy, that voting is not a team game. And I think a lot of the things that are happening today is because people have decided for some reason, and whatever the reason are, that voting is some sort of team sport, that you have to line up with a team. When you go to vote, you vote by yourself. You could go in the voting booth and take out your crayon and vote for Mr. Toenail. And it's okay. So for people to turn around and declare their allegiance before they even go on to vote, and as you remember, I used to say on the show that if that's the case, why don't you just mail your vote into the Republicans or the Democrats? What the fuck are you going to vote for? Why the fuck are you going to vote if you just going to decide I'm one of these or I'm one of that? Those. Yeah. It's not how the game is played. You don't do that.
But as 2020 approaches, you will decide why you want to cast your vote one way or the other.
That's not
that is going to happen.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you would. I'm saying that why are you declaring what side you on? That's what I'm saying. You go cast your vote. That's a private matter. Why are you stupidly saying
America
stupid
drawing teams?
I'm saying that's stupid. I'm saying that is stupid when it comes to voting. And I've said this to you when we were doing the other show, that didn't make any damn sense, that people would decide that they're voting and they're on some fucking team, when you and I both know that that's not the case. You go into the voting
booth. Anonymous, you mean?
It is anonymous. It ain't supposed to be. It is.
It's about what the majority of citizens know.
Well, isn't that why we're trying to help them?
That increasingly the knowledge that is necessary to make your own decisions is becoming known. to more and
I
more.
would. You know what? Now, I'm glad you said that because I would agree with that. Because I watched the Beto O'Rourke guy, who I thought was quite unimpressive the whole time. I thought they was handing him stuff over. But when I watched how he got up and how he has gotten up, and well, that's a hell of a shirt right there. Yeah, no wonder you getting that on camera. That's deep. Wow. But anyway, when I saw him get up and actually call the media out, tell them these are his words. You guys are fucking stupid. These are Beto O'Rourke. These are his words. Mm-hmm. You guys are fucking stupid when you keep asking me the same stupid shit. Like, is he a racist? What the fuck is he said? What the fuck, man? Of course he's a racist. Stop asking me the same stupid shit over them and do your fucking jobs. And that's the point I was making earlier, how they have, slinked down to the sophomoric safe answers that's going to get a buzz, trying to use the oldest trick in the world, trying to trick somebody to say something that's going to get them some sort of attention in the blurb. And these politicians, like you've been saying, these people are smarter. And we need the community and we need the voters to pick up their game. We all here's my thing. I'm not mad at the people who voted for him, man. I'm not mad at the people who voted for Trump because voting is your own private thing. Mm-hmm. But if you come out and say that you support somebody after it becomes clear that idiot or that person who you voted for has done a lot of things that are unpopular, and your excuse is, oh, you don't like him, you say to yourself, no, it ain't that we don't like him. We hate him. We don't like the guy. We hate the fucking guy. I mean, let's just call it like it is. And so they're acting, his supporters are acting like, a parent who's protecting their little petulant child. No, when the other parents don't like your kid, then you're going to have to correct your kid or take your kid somewhere else. You're going to have to correct your behavior. And that's just how it is for all of us. Right. And for them to come up and that's what I'm saying. I'm angry at the people who are making excuses for him. I'm angry at the people who are his butt boys, like bitch McConnell, who's Putin's bitch. He's Putin's bitch. That's what he is. And he has a job, and he doesn't even do his fucking job. And the journalists are so stupid, they don't even go to his house and hound that bitch. You're supposed to be hounding him.
That's a fair enough comment
in
today's atmosphere.
Was that too much cursing?
Hmm?
Was that too much cursing?
No, I think the comments are right on with the thoughts of many other citizens at this point. We're all trying to find our way to move this thing along democratically. And Mitch McConnell and all that you say is true, but for the first time, we're all thinking about it in ways we've never thought about it before.
I like that.
I don't know what the end will be, but we've seen a new beginning. It's slow, it's repetitious, sounds a lot like the old thing, but this is a new beginning, and as 2020 elections approach, I think we're going to see the fruits of it, not only in journalism, but in the citizenry in general, and also with the police departments, ICE, and all these other things, who by then will have to decide what side are they going to be on going forward.
One of the first things people have to realize is that you cannot have 250 years of dopey white guys running stuff and think that you're going to get another dopey white guy and shit's going to be okay.
I agree with that.
That's the stupidest shit in the world.
That's a viewpoint.
I agree
with that. That is a viewpoint.
There's always a white knight on a white pony who will ride to the rescue.
I don't see that happening. I think that the people are going to have to be. I like what you said earlier about women and women coming in to be in charge, because that's what we need. That's what I think people should be playing that record by the Temptations, Ball of Confusion, because that's what we have today. A ball of confusion.
Well,
And
look at how even someone like you is helping out in all of this, Doug.
What do you mean, someone like me?
You're bringing new technology to residents who've never had that type of control before. Your viewpoint is going to be seen for the first time.
That's a compliment.
And all of this is because of technology and people like yourself who come from the neighborhood, want to improve things in the neighborhood, and are willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Well, let me just say this, because while we're on this, when I was listening to the media before coming on to the show over the last couple of nights, as I was using one of my marijuana cigarettes that I got from my marijuana card, okay, and it and it fucking dawned on me that when they were talking about guns and the background check, I asked myself a question, and I think only Jerron might actually. I don't know if he's going to be answer it, and I'm not going to force him to it. I'm not even going to put you in that position. But I sat there and I said to myself, okay, they're talking all this bullshit, and I said, then I thought about. I said, well, who's had an illegal gun before? And then I said to myself, I had 4 illegal handguns before I was 21 years old. Illegal. Including, I was going to say 5, but I had 4 illegal handguns, and I had a machine gun. And we're talking the early 70s. Okay. So then I said to myself, okay, where'd you get the bullets from? So ask me, J-Ron, where'd I get the bullets from?
Yeah, where'd you get the bullets from, Doc?
Police.
What do you mean, police?
You heard what I said, man. You heard what I said. You heard what I said. Who do you think can go buy bullets and nobody asks any questions?
Right.
Okay, so if I'm a criminal, so my point is that they're making rules and policy and regulations about guns, and they don't have one fucking criminal up there that knows how to evade the system to get what he wants. And I was a stupid teenager.
Yep.
Okay, so you have to say to yourself that they don't know what they're doing, because I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. And when people talk about the rapidity of the bullets, I said to myself, okay, I had a 38 snub-nose revolver because I was thinking like I was a cop. Right, so I had a 38 snub. I had a 5-shot 32 because I thought I was still a cop and I needed a gun. I needed 2 little guns that I could put in my pocket, and I would put them in my pocket when I would walk around outside. We're talking teenage in the 70s, drug everywhere, right?
Yep.
Okay, then here's where I really learned something. I had a rifle. And one day I was with some of my criminal friends, and we're sitting on a roof of a building, and we have our weapons up there. And of course, we had one guy who was in the Air Force who was showing us how all the weapons work. And he would load the weapons up and go cock and load it, and he would hand it to us. And we up there shooting off rounds on the roof. And the guy, we're sitting there, and one of the guys that was with us, he had a little sawed-off shotgun. He shot it, and the whole shotgun fell apart in his hands. And we realized we all could have been dead, right? So we leave.
Yeah.
We stopped doing it. But the thing that scared me, other than going to prison, was I got my hands on a .45 automatic.
How easy it was, the accessibility.
Well, I have the bullets. I was telling you, just think about it. Here's a guy who's not even 20 years old, and I'm telling you, Yeah. So I got my hands on a .45 automatic, and I realized then that gun. There's a reason why the Army used that gun during the war. Because and let me tell you something, man, and I'm talking about in the criminal element. As soon as you pull out that shit and people see it, they're getting the fuck up out the way, man. And don't shoot it. As soon as you fire that thing off, people can hear it 2 blocks away, and there's nobody going to be around. So my point to you is that when they're talking about these different weapons, there's a reason why that guy, you see the picture of him, he's got those headphones on his head. Because high caliber pistols, the sound will distort you. The sound will disable you.
Yeah.
So that's why the guy had the head things on. And I'm saying to you, if you got 2 45s, if you could handle the recoil, you're going to do just the same amount of damage, because they have these bullets called, now this goes to show you how when you get criminal, they have bullets called steel jackets.
Okay.
They have bullets called talons.
Yep.
Where you could take the bullets and cut the tips of the bullets in sections, so that when the bullet hits somebody, the bullet spreads.
Okay.
So all right. So here's now somebody 20 years old. Why am I supposed to know that? You see, my point is, how am I at 20 years old interacting with police officers to get my bullets?
Yeah.
Okay. So the point that and so when I seen that Serpico thing, that shit was real. That Serpico shit was real, man.
Based on
That's what I know that I've seen
the real Serpico.
Not the real Serpico. I've been in places where people are illegally gambling, and the bell rings, and the guy says to the young teenager, me, go out and see who that is. And there's a cop out there, and the cop says to me, the sergeant's with me, we got to get 20 and 10. I walk back into the thing and tell the head the guy who ran the gambling hole that we in. The cops is I'm stunned. I'm a teenager. I'm stunned, and I said, "There's a cop out there." He said he wants 20 and 10. The sergeant's with him, and the guy tells me, "Go out there and tell him to come back later." So I do that, and I can tell you from that moment on, guess how much respect I have for cops. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they're sitting there telling you, when they're sitting there saying to you and I, to all of us, that, oh, these guys are mental health and all that, that's not true. They've radicalized those teenagers the same way the criminals radicalized my stupid ass.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was a different kind of radicalized, but I thought the shit was making sense what I was doing. And it was and once I wound up in prison, I realized that I had to be one of the 2 or 3 dumbest people, at least in my family, if not the world.
So who's our guest speaker today, Doug? Who we on the line with?
It's Professor Haywood Dodson, lawyer, Rhodes Scholar.
Cecil Rhodes?
Cecil Rhodes is the guy who gave it, and you said it wrong. It's Cecil.
Cecil.
Was that hey, what's the Cecil? And you over in Oxford and all that. What was his correct pronunciation for Cecil or Cecil?
Cecil Rhodes, not Cecil. Cecil Rhodes.
How about that? Eat them apples, Jerron.
Okay.
Joe Ron. So yeah, he's a professor. He was a MBA.
He was the guy who, at age 30, wanted to build a railroad from the tip of South Africa, what is now South Africa, all the way up to Egypt. And he, along the way, got friends with people from the Kimberley diamond mines, and was responsible not only for taking out the African wealth, which supports most of the activities of the Rhodes Scholarship today. The Rhodes Scholarship, or the Rhodes Trust, is the richest body in England today. But also, he was responsible for killing, they allege, over 10 million Africans.
Well, yeah, that's what I heard about.
Well, if those of you if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see one of the playlists that we have is called Probe Pyramid Chronicles, and those are podcasters that we've done up at the professor's study and research facility. And some of the things that we discussed on there, I would recommend that people, when they have a time, to go check out the podcast or whatever you want to call it on YouTube and listen to some of the things that we were talking about with the professor, both about some of the historical stuff and some of the archive stuff that you picked up, like having that Life magazine from 1960 something in Los Angeles. I mean, a pristine copy where you see the people from, I believe that was Watts or Inglewood, lined up against the wall, and you would have thought that was 2018 when there was a stop and frisk. This is the 60s, man.
Right. That's
The fucking 60s, man, and he pulls out this magazine that says pay 35 cents at the counter, and you know what I'm saying, Javon? And in there's a story about the cops, and they got you saw all these young black people on the wall. It's 1967. So, as he said earlier, the stop and frisk scenario has been part of this country, and the bad behavior towards people who are non-white has happened. If you go back and look at the Black Wall Street and some of the black incidents, these were all incidents that happened after white men decided that they didn't like what those damn people were doing who didn't look like them. Does this shit sound familiar? Does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
The same white guys that are going around now and making their petulant argument that they're being changed and they're being replaced. Are you kidding me? They stole the country from other people. They're sitting around people who look like them are the ones running shit. So how do they, if they're getting excluded, why are they killing and going after people who didn't do nothing to them? Why? Because maybe they want somebody to fuck them up.
Control. Black and Hispanic peoples were considered less than human, had no rights.
Oh, you're talking like the president.
Therefore, could be treated any way.
You're talking like the president now. You're talking like the president.
But,
You're talking like the president.
In many ways is a throwback to the 1840s, 1850s.
Now, did you say throw black or throw back?
Both of those.
Okay.
Because as an Irishman, we should never forget it was the Irish people, stock from the Irish, who were the overseers for the southern plantation owners.
Did you know that,
They
Jerome?
brought in Irish people to control the African population.
Oh, that's why they were policemen?
Well, now, if you look at the attitudes of some of these law enforcement people, I would submit that you still see a strong Irish element, a strong Northern European element in there that thinks they still have the right to totally control a slave's life.
Okay, I got two questions. One, because these are stuff that I've asked you before, but people didn't hear. One, what in your Rhodes Scholar, what was your area of specialty? So people know.
I took their toughest exams, which was modern European history and early American history.
In any particular years in early American history that you specialized in?
1877 to 1918 was my specialty right after Reconstruction.
Okay,
That's
so
what I had studied at Columbia. And in terms of English history, I did 1660 to 1918, the end of the First World War, because that's considered modern European history in England.
okay, so since you asked those questions, and we hear a lot of talk of fascism and Nazism now, the question I'm going to ask the question that I asked you 2 days after after President DIC won. That's the disruptor in charge, President DIC or President Dick.
Just call him his real last name, isn't it? Dumped.
Dick Trump, that's his name, Dick Trump, and that's what's going to happen to him when he goes to prison, because people are mad at him. My question to you, Professor Haywood Dotson, is when was, from a scholarly perspective, a historian perspective, that you are a Rhodes Scholar, when was America great? Because he said he's going to make America great again. When was it great?
Yeah, I do want to hear this.
When the South was able to actually think of setting up their own country because of all the money and the wealth in cotton and rice that Africans had made for them.
So when we hear MAGA and the MAGA hats,
He's talking about southern plantation owners being able to recreate their society, because that was really the last time America, all aspects of America, was great.
Wow, that's heavy. That's interesting. I was reading an article yesterday where they mentioned that there was people were able to get internet for some cheap price. Some of the internet providers provide internet for $15, $20 a month. And one of the people wrote, one of the comments were, "Are they using internet for tax money?" And I wrote back, "No, they're using tax money for drones, rockets, bullets, warships, aircraft carriers. Not just military.
That's when America was great. When the whites were able to use all the money for their purposes and against Africans and
everybody else
and others.
And also, I also added that they buy a lot of helicopters, and also they pay for the health care and staff of all of the politicians, the ones we like and the ones we don't like. That's where the tax dollars go.
One of the things we're going to have to come to grips with is how much do we pay our doctors and lawyers, because they are now getting over and able to make $200,000 to $350,000 a year, primarily because we say that their educational costs are so great. But that really has not been true, and it's a little bit obscene to have doctors and lawyers making so much money in this environment.
You know what? They did a survey. Guess what the two highest paid professions are in this country, Joe Ron?
Two highest paid
doctors
professions.
and lawyers.
You only half right, Professor. Go ahead.
Doctors and politicians?
No, doctors and surgeons. Surgeons are considered higher than doctors.
I got it.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you're a surgeon, which is basically a body mechanic, for all practical purposes, which drives me nuts because how
And
in the
again, Doug, that happened because doctors were able to take dominance during the Civil War, and so many millions of casualties were there that they literally could practice and get very smart. And after the war, they continued to hold a privileged place because of the practice they had gotten on so many Union and Southern soldiers killing and maiming themselves.
Okay, this is 95.9 FM. We're also available at ghcr.nyc. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel at Stream University. Type in B1 Harlem, and you'll get a very live picture of Joe Ron with his exciting shirt. What the? That's King Tut. King Tut. What is it? Two what? Two Tutton. Whatever. We got to look the name up. So
Yep.
because you
Pronunciation.
Tutankhamun.
Yeah, he's got
Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun, and he doesn't have anything in common with Tutu.
I thought I looked like the Malone.
You do. I do. You do actually. Now that you might be Egyptian. We never know who we are. This is, I just wanted, Professor, if you indulge me, I wanted to make because we had the professor and I had a conversation the other day, and I made my case for how to resolve the gun issue from a perspective of someone who's been a criminal. So if you were a criminal and somebody came and asked a criminal, what would you do to kind of resolve the gun thing? I made the case that you have to look at the auto industry and look at what happened when cars came in and took over for the horse. Okay, the cars came in. Cars could go 3 or 4 times as far. I'm talking about the early cars. They could go 3 or 4 times as far as a horse. There was no roads. There was no infrastructure. There was no license plates, Joe Ron. You didn't have no place. You had no lights, no street lights. You had no roads. You had no gas stations. You had no driver's license. You had no insurance. You had nothing. If somebody ran you over with their car, they would look at you and go, Joe Ron, you better get that looked at. And they keep it moving. Nothing would happen. People were petulant because there were no rules and regulations. And I make the case that we have the same problem right now with the weapons. And think about that word for a second. They're on TV arguing that they should have a weapon, not a toothpick, not a toothbrush, a weapon, and I should have a weapon, and I should have as many as I want, and nobody should ask me anything. What kind of fucking shit is that, man? How stupid is that?
I think we're in the Wild West.
I mean, we're not in the Wild West, because if we was in the Wild West, everybody could have one. Now, if a dopey teenager like me, who wound up in prison because of my stupid activities, could walk around and make a logical discussion about illegal weapons, something is wrong. As a teen, and particularly when you can go buy the bullets from the police. I mean, come on. Now, if this didn't happen 50 years ago, would I be talking about it? Hell to the no. You know what I'm saying? I'm only talking about it. We talking about 40 or 50 years ago.
Hey, Professor. Professor?
Go ahead, Professor. Go ahead.
What do you think we should do about the gun problem?
Wait. He wants to know what we can do about the gun problem. But before you, can I just finish my?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my theory is, because he's going to have his, he knows what mine is. My theory is that we should decide whether the Second Amendment is going to be on it or not. If it's going to be on it, if the Second Amendment is going to be on it, then I think they should have a federal license to have a gun. You got to get your gun registered. I watched a guy on TV talking about we're against getting the gun registered, and I said to myself, "Are you kidding me?" So you should get a federal license, and dig this: if it's the Second Amendment, everybody should have one, regardless. Because that stupid talk about mental health and all that's all bullshit. You can't tell if they could decide if they could predict mental health fallout, there would be no crazy people, man. There would be nobody crazy. They would say, you know what, Joe Ron, you're going to be crazy in 6 months and 4 days because we did a background check on you. Do they do that for anybody? No. So when they're giving you illogical stuff, you have to understand what that is. Number two, you need to have a license. You should have your license insured. Okay, because once you have a gun and it's licensed, then they can use technology, put GPS or a chip in the gun, so everybody knows who has a gun. The police can monitor that, so the police ain't got to pull you up in the car and go, "There's 5 guys we just searching for guns." No, you ain't searching for nothing. Y'all know we got the guns because we transmitting. Our guns are transmitting. You see what I'm saying? Okay, because in Texas and in Ohio, those are both carry states, and the shit that happened still happened.
Yep.
So that should tell everybody right away that in Texas you can have a carrier weapon and it can be concealed. And this is where the guy drove down here and killed all the Mexicans, man. Killed 22 Mexicans.
In Walmart, right?
In Walmart.
But
that was known as the Mexican Walmart.
Yeah.
He drove there from 900 miles away. The point, let me just finish up.
Go ahead.
The second thing is that once you get people to have a gun, give them the license, let everybody get one, get their license, have the technology and part of the gun, because guns are technology. Then the next thing you have to do is make it so that because here's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a license, if your gun's not insured, it should be for like a liability, like with a car, no big deal. And what's going to happen is that you ain't going to be able to go buy no bullets. You're going to have to do what I was doing. You're going to have to go to somebody and get your bullets criminally, which they can still mark the bullets now because the technology's there. So, and they can charge more for the bullets because the bullets are addressable. So that we know what the bullet is doing. They can do that now. They got bombs that do that, by the way. Hello? Mm-hmm. Hello? So, and the last thing that I would ask what they should do to make it real is to let people know that if we catch you with an unlicensed gun, you might as well just have a bag of crap. Because you got to have a rule that make people go, so you can look at the people that are going, you won't be making that mistake again. When you get a body, when you commit a homicide, you ain't doing that again. You ain't doing it. Very few people get to make 2 and 3 homicides, Jack. The first time you go out and do something like that, most of the people get caught doing that. You're not doing certain things twice.
Those are all very good proposals, though.
Well, I think we should implement them right, and I think we should submit those to whoever the fuck's going to be in charge.
What do you feel about that, Professor?
Go ahead. He want to know what you think about that, Professor.
I generally agree with that.
That's dangerous.
We have to have new approaches. And I look to a Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate to start that process.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel a little taken aback that you are agreeing with a misanthrope?
Not at all. You have been on the cutting edge of several ideas, including telecommunications, NYSHA, responsibility, and
what about the misanthrope?
Control. So, this is just consistent with your views.
What about the misanthrope? You're agreeing with the misanthrope? Are you admitting that? Are you admitting that?
Well, we had Benedict Arnold. And, no, he was a misanthrope in George Washington's time. And yet the country still went on and prospered.
You know that one of the things that I really love about the Professor Joe Ron, he could insult you and you won't know it. You be thinking like, I think that was a compliment, which that wasn't. But he'll make it sound like I agree with Doug. Yeah, as far as I can see him.
So, Professor, I hear you agreeing with Doug. Doug is flattered. What will you do about this gun issue in America?
He said he heard what you saying, that you agree with me. What would you do about the gun issue?
I would make sure there's only one type of gun or rifle that would be permitted for every American citizen. Wow. And that gun or rifle would be registered. It would have marked bullets.
Would it be insured?
And everybody would have to have a background check.
Would it have to be insured?
It could be.
I don't agree with the background.
I don't think it really need not to.
I disagree with that.
Need be.
I disagree that you can't. The background check is a joke, and I'm saying that as a criminal. It's not going to work. And Jerron's been in prison too, I think.
Don't they have background check now?
It don't work. I ain't gonna work. Hey, Jerron, like I said, I was able to get on
the argument that the bad guys will get access to guns.
What bad guys?
There's always that argument.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't use bad guys because when you are in prison, the people who kill people are not criminals. 80% of the people in there who kill somebody who got bodies, they're not criminals. Somebody got pissed off at somebody and killed them.
Yeah.
And background check ain't gonna help that. That's those are the you.
Well, all the more reason why you need to have just one standard.
I like that. No, that's a great
That's
idea.
a good idea.
It fires 12 shots.
No, that's a great idea.
One gun.
No, that's a great idea.
Fire 12 shots.
That's a great idea, but the background check, you can throw that in the garbage. That ain't gonna work, man. That's a joke. Don't buy into that. I would say that ain't gonna do nothing, and you could tell it ain't gonna do nothing because that's why the do nothing people. What are they talking about doing? Background check. The do nothing people are talking about doing the background check. That's to tell you that's some do nothing shit.
Yep.
Because that's what they do. Nothing.
That's a fair comment.
Thank you very much. So I would say throw that out. I would say throw out the argument about the military grade weapons because every weapon is a military grade weapon. So like I told you, I've seen what happened. You pull out that. I've been in the room where somebody pull out a 45. Whoa! As soon as you see it, you start running, even if he's your friend. You let somebody else your friend go, yo, Jerron, look what I got. You getting away from him. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah, I shot one before.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. If you ain't got no earplugs, you're gonna drive you, you're gonna think you deaf. You're gonna say, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that any one of those circumstances, except for the Las Vegas thing, any one of those circumstances, or somebody would go walk in there with two of those, assuming they can hold them, because I don't know how you can protect yourself from the recoil with them thing, and assuming you could stand up for the sound thing, you're gonna wipe everybody out. You once you fire off 1 or 2 rounds, wherever you are, you will be alone. That's how forceful that weapon. So I like your idea of only having one type of weapon. I don't care about the background check. That's why I'm making the case that either the Second Amendment is real or it ain't. Ain't no in between, ain't no sideways, and you attorney. Ain't none of that. Either the Second Amendment means everybody has the right to protect themselves, or it doesn't. What say you, Professor?
I think you're right, and I tend to agree with you.
Well, hey, Jerron, let's write that down. That's 3 things that he agreed with me on. 3 things that the Rhodes Scholar, Columbia University graduate agreed with you and I, who are both convicted. I'm a convicted felon. I ain't gonna speak for you, but you said you was been in the big house. So
yeah, when I was 19.
So was I. So was I. That's why I could talk about it, because I was in there with a teenager. That's why I'm willing to talk about it. I wouldn't be talking about it if I did it when I was 30. I wouldn't be for a lot of reasons. Yeah. but since the teenager, when it happened, I think it has more impact, because how can the foolish teenager get his hands on that? Exactly. I never forget going to I was living with my mother. I walked in there and hid that and hid my machine gun in her closet.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget her coming, calling me in like a couple of days later and going, get that shit.
Yeah, well, I heard in the early 70s they was bringing a lot of guns out.
Well, this was the early 70s. Yeah. This is when you had Ronald Reagan and George Wallace and and this is not too far from them bombing churches with little kids and putting water hoses on them. And one of the brilliant things that I keep saying is, I wish that they would take and colorize the footage, the black and white footage of the white police.
Down.
I think they should. If they colorize that, if they made that in color, the young people today would see that for what it is, and they would really understand it. And I saw something on TV. I was going to.
But they have the young people today have their own thing.
Yeah.
The Me Too movement and this and that. And they have the images.
I ain't hating on that, but I just think that is such a historic thing, because you need people to understand what we're talking about, what kind of a country this really is. This is a country that has economic apartheid, that has policy apartheid, and then they tolerate having someone as the leader who is a psychopath. And I've looked up the word psychopath, and I would recommend anybody to look that up. Look up the attributes of a psychopath. You'll be stunned, because most of us are trained to think that psychopaths are serial killers. No, psychopath is what helps serial killers to be serial killers. You can be a psychopath and not be a criminal. Okay?
Well said.
Thank you, Professor. I want to thank all of my college professors. I want to thank all of my friends on Lenox Avenue, and all of my friends who helped me at all my stops at Elmira Reformatory and Dannemora the Dannemora Maximum Security Prison, where I took a lot of my training at. I want to thank all the people there.
What was your number? 77?
45 to 298. 45 298.
Right? Armira, right? Well, you can't Ulster? Armira.
No, 45 298.
Oh, they didn't have that
alphabet? No. Remember, you don't know this, but I went into prison right before the Attica Rebellion.
Oh.
So all of a sudden, I got to see prison from what it once was, and then what it became. Because after the Attica Rebellion, it became something else altogether. So I got a chance to see that. Okay. And so there's a big difference. And it's funny how you say that, how you can say that when one of the things that you never forget as a prisoner is your number. Because when you're walking around the prison, they'll say, they don't call you by name, they go, what's your big number, boy?
Yep.
You know, what's your big number? You have a big, and when I was in there, when I first got in there, everybody had the gray uniforms on. You couldn't, and these are the stupidest shit. You couldn't have hair on your face, so they would give people raises.
Yeah.
Think about that. Yep. You're in there in a place full of homicidal psychopaths, and those are just some of the regular guys who go get the water, and they're giving everybody in there a razor because they don't want you to have hair on your face. It was.
They won't even give razors to a lot of people in regular hospitals.
Well, not even, but
that they'll cut themselves.
Well, after the Attica Rebellion, no more. I think Jerron could have covered. I think you were allowed to have a bed and smoke cigarettes with filters and have sodas.
Before that happened.
But when I first went in there, 1969, 1970, you couldn't, because the Attica Rebellion happened in 1971. Oh. So I was in there. I went right in there right when that happened. And 2 months out, the Attica Rebellion was in September of '71. I went upstate in July. So, as soon as I got up there, I'm bopping around, chilling, and I'll never forget that when they happened, because I worked because I was a basketball player, even in prison, I worked in a hospital, and they had a TV there. I worked in the prison hospital, and they had a TV in there, and you could see what was going on, and they didn't want to let anybody out of their cells. And so what they did was they made everybody go out every day for an hour in the prison yard, the whole prison, and the cops and everybody was on the wall with their guns, and you had to walk around in a circle for an hour, mandatory, because you had to get an hour worth of exercise. You had to get an hour rec. But the whole prison's on lockdown because they're over in Attica killing the guards.
Yep.
And so and I'll never forget to this day. It was so quiet while we were walking. I could hear everybody's feet crunching on the dirt and the rocks as we're walking, and it makes me think of the Death March to Bataan.
Oh, wow.
It was like a death march, because all you need was one person to act up. I'm talking about they got that big giant wall, all of these cops and townies. They brought the people in from the town because they was all afraid that the coloreds in the prison was going to go crazy because most of the people who worked in the prison lived in the town. So they were all in there and they on the wall with their guns. And I was walking around and I said to myself, I'll never forget this, when the guy told me, because when you leave prison, they say to you, "Oh, you'll be back." I don't know. That was their favorite line. They always say that favorite line. Whenever you walk out the door, there's one guy standing there going, "You'll be back." And I remember when we were walking around that yard, I said to myself, coming back, not going to be able to do it. Not going to be, particularly the thing that really caught me was when they started talking about they was putting people in keep lock, which is solitary confinement or whatever. They have a jail inside the jail. And it took me 2 days to get my head around. I'm going wait a minute, we're already in prison. And it's going, yeah, but we'll send you you got to go see the PK, the principal keeper. They got a guy, they call him the principal keeper, Haywood. You have to go see the PK. And it sounds like you're in South Africa somewhere. And the PK was the principal keeper. He would decide whether or not you broke some rules inside the prison, and they put you in the solitary confinement in the little jail downstairs in the jail. And I kept saying to myself, they're going to put me in jail while I'm already. They got a jail in the jail. I said, man, when I get out of here, I won't be coming back. It's too easy to follow the rules out here. It's too easy, and it's too easy to call them out. And the one last thing I'll say about that, I noticed once you're in there in prison, they got a saying in prison, they tell the strongest man the weakest shit. That's a prison saying, and to talk about how they'll come to somebody who's really strong and feed him some crap. And I would say that when you look at the Republicans and you look at Donald Trump, that's what he's doing. He's telling the strongest of us the weakest crap. The weakest shit, and people.
That's interesting to think about.
Thank you. Hopefully that's what that's why they bring me here.
I have a question.
Joe Ron got a question.
Are you familiar with HR 40?
Did you hear that, Haywood? Are you familiar with HR 40? I guess this is some kind of legal test.
No, I don't.
And I'm not either. What is that?
It's the subject of reparations.
Oh, You talking to the right guy now.
Yeah.
So you want to know what he thinks about reparations?
Yeah, we're supposed to be
What do you think about?
reparations.
17.1 trillion. If you had that, how would you distribute it to the people?
I think about reparations exactly what Jewish Europeans think about reparations. Exactly what Romans thought about reparations from the barbarians who overran Rome. I think reparations are the just payment for our American African peoples building almost entirely the South and the areas below the Mason-Dixon line.
No, it's all good.
That will cost at least billions to compensate.
Hold on.
Second question.
And it can be done in a lot of different ways.
So we have activists who's been calling for it. And the UN at a panel in 2016, they declared that the U.S. owes Black Americans reparations because of slavery and its linked to injustice today in America. So we already have this panel. The UN already agreed that we owed, and they came up with the number at 17.1 trillion.
The presidential candidate convening the reparations hearing in Congress.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, that was the first time I saw 100, 200 black people talking about reparations in a place where reparations in part can be done.
Wow. So you're in favor of reparations,
Of course.
Professor?
I'm very much in favor of it because people should be. I'm a worker, grew up in South Carolina, and people should be paid for what they do. And we built the South.
Yep.
We made cotton king. We made rice the meal of choice, and we were the ones who ultimately fought for some of the southern states because we were their niggers.
Wow, okay. I didn't hear that last word.
Niggers.
Oh, okay. I know. You know, there's a great song by the Last Poets called "Niggers." I don't know if have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't
No,
heard
I
that
haven't.
song.
I have. There's a great song by the Last Poets, and the whole poem they go niggers, niggers, niggers. Yeah, Abio Dune. In fact, you know what? He lives right near here. That was one of Zach's boys, but he lives right near here. Maybe we can get him to come in one day and lay some of that down. He lives right up around that little street over there.
I don't know
Yeah, he lives right near here. And you know, there's a poem there they made in the '60s about niggas, and it's got video. It's a video. You should look it up on YouTube. And
I have their 2 albums, so I will certainly try and get them out before our next show.
I mean, I could play it right now.
Or listen to them before our next show.
What I'm going to do is next week I'm going to make sure that we play it because it's on YouTube, and we'll play it on there on our YouTube channel so people can get a chance to see it.
And if you have a copy of Gil Scott Heron, he might be worth playing with the Last Poets.
Well, first of all, the one thing that I would like to play, because Gil Scott Heron, aside from the H2O, Watergate Blue, blah, 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 all the stuff that we really know about him, that most of the young people, maybe like Joran, know nothing about him, and his poems and attacking the president when nobody knew what that was. But he has a poem called Whitey's on the Moon.
Oh.
He's got a poem that he made, was talking about how all the crazy stuff was going on, because this is when Richard Nixon was the president, and all that's going on, and meanwhile they was telling all the people why they on the moon. They couldn't figure out how to give people food. They couldn't figure out how to have clean water. They couldn't figure out how to put labels on packages. This is all the stuff that happened when we were growing up. You could go buy food, it was never no labeling. You didn't know what was in it. You hear what I'm telling you? You hear what I'm telling you?
Yeah, brand X.
Not brand.
That too was an educational process.
It wasn't brand. You're right, Professor. It wasn't brand X. You could go buy things, and there was no ingredients. They didn't have to put the ingredient. What was in whatever you bought, they didn't put that on there. There was no date on like milk and all that. So you using your nose a lot. They didn't have any of that. You would buy stuff, and you would know when it was made or anything. This is the world that
women in Congress are going to do the same thing with health care, education,
I hope so.
and a guaranteed income. Because
right.
women recognize that those things are now fundamental in our society.
The reason
Not to be argued about, but they are fundamental and must be provided.
The reason why I brought up the thing about the taxpayer dollars, and then we're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, Professor, and I appreciate you much. The reason why I brought up the thing about the tax dollars is because one of the great arguments when you watch them, the people who are not for you, use when they're talking when they're talking about something new, they say this all the time: "How are you going to pay for that?"
Right.
But I brought up, this is why I brought up the thing about nobody asks the question, how are you going to pay for the drones, the rockets,
Well, see, I
the
never
guns?
listened to the argument because our debt is already $1 trillion. And whether it goes up to $1.5 trillion really makes no difference in terms of how the Congress is going to finance
Right,
it.
I'm with you, because I hear what
And
you,
with that, they can pay for almost anything we've been talking about.
I hear what you're saying. What you're basically saying is that you ran up the debt for $2 trillion, and now when we're talking about doing something that could help everybody, you want to ask a stupid-ass question about how we're going to pay for it. You ain't say that when you ran up the debt
That's
for
not
$2
going to be sufficient to ask the question, and it's not going to be sufficient to answer the question by saying you can't afford it.
Oh, that ain't going to happen, because Hillary tried that, and I think that was part of her downfall.
Yes.
She tried that stupid crap. Oh, we can't afford this. We can't afford to pay to let our kids go to college
Well, I
for free.
think Bernie Sanders and
Elizabeth Warren.
And a couple of others, they hit the right chords. And if they become president, vice president, they will follow through, and they will have, I think, a malleable Congress and Senate to work with.
I got one last question before we go, because we're getting ready to roll out of here, because we've been here for, and Cookie was supposed to come, so we got to call her. But I got one. I got I guess a last question for me, Professor. Is what do you say to the Democrats who are afraid, and maybe they won't be after next week, after this last week, who have stood around this whole time and not called out any of the shit that the Republicans were doing?
They won't be around after this month goes past. Most of the people who will be eliminated out of the 2021 who are running will be about 11 people who simply have no answers and who don't have the money.
Now
They will be gone.
Now you know that the Yang guy who's advocating give everybody.
And one of the great moments on TV
He
when he started crying about thinking about his own children being subjected to what Trump subjected those immigrant children on the first day.
When I saw that little girl crying, I had tears in my eyes, and I was like, you know what?
Well,
They
Mr.
could've
Yang
said-
did. I mean, he.
I was upset by
He
it.
looked absolutely genuine.
I was glad. I saw the little girl sitting there.
But that's purposely put there to bring some kind of sympathetic
It worked.
feel.
Worked
Yeah,
on me. I was
that's
really
what they
upset
do.
that they did that. That they went there, and the same time that he was down in El Paso, Texas, for his being, of course, on his duties as being the fake president. While he was down there, he also sent the ICE agents to go to Mississippi, and 600 ICE agents they flew into Mississippi to arrest the people
That's right.
working
The
in the meat
problem must have
factory.
been tremendous.
And then arrest not one owner for that. You got all these illegal people, and they just came there all by themselves and worked there illegally. He didn't arrest one person who owned the place or who was a supervisor.
Donald Trump and his properties, particularly his golf courses, hire illegal aliens.
I know they said that.
themselves.
I've heard that, but I'm just going with the obvious that we actually saw. He went down there and he had them while he was going to Texas. And the reason I believe why he did that, this is just me, speculation. I believe he did that because the people from El Paso, the Mexicans in El Paso told him don't come. Because when he went down there, none of the people who were in the hospital who were injured, they
Didn't want
all
to
refused to see him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because he's a vindictive little you-know-what, he went and said, okay, lock him up. I believe he did that because that sounds just like him. That sounds just like him. And what I'm saying is that, the people, to hear them complain because the Castro guy started putting out the names of the people who live in San Antonio, El Paso, San Antonio, who have contributed to them, those people started complaining because they think they should be anonymous. They think that they should be, you know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, like, you know what, Instead of keeping quiet about who they vote for, then they're going out and having fundraisers for somebody that everybody hates, and they think that nobody should say anything to them. Are you kidding me? They think that they should be able to, go along with anything that they want, put their money in. You shouldn't say nothing to them when it's all a matter of public record. You can't get.
When women come into Congress,
You're right.
Me, people.
You're right, Hayward, man. These petulant, these.
Stop Elizabeth Warren from talking.
Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Big Chief tried to sneak out here. Big Chief, come back here, Big Chief. Come back here, Big Chief, for 5 seconds. Come on, Big Chief. 5 seconds. I want you to, Professor Dotson, I want you to be able to have some kind words for the Big Chief who just decided to come in. Throw them phones on there, Chiefy Weefy. And the Big Chief, can you get a voice test?
Check one.
I would
Say it again. Hold on.
just remind him to be part of the solution.
Go ahead.
Not
Check one,
part
check
of the
one.
problem.
Okay, no. He is part of it. So on the line we have with us, Mr. Davis. On the line we have Professor Dotson, Rhodes Scholar, NBA draft choice, Dallas Cowboys draft choice. He was traded to the Knicks, college All-American, Columbia lawyer, and Rhodes Scholar. I usually call him a rogue scholar, but today we're going to give him a well-known historian. And him and I did a show up at the station for a good 5 or 6 years. So I invited him to come and be a part of this. And Professor, we have Mr. Davis, who is the Little Richard of Grant Houses. He's the stimulator, the motivator. He's the stimulator and the motivator. And whenever somebody tries to diss him, he goes, "Shut up." So, and he does the voices, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But I wanted you to, Professor, just give him your very quick idea of what do you think about this streaming station, particularly since you was with us when we were doing
What I think about
the streaming station that we have here in Grand Houses.
I think it's revolutionary. That's all I'll say.
That's all
The
you
whole thing that you've been trying the last 4 or 5 years of is revolutionary. And to see the 2 centers that are now up and operating means that the revolution has indeed succeeded.
And it's being televised.
And it's being televised.
Televised, man.
And we're
YouTube
going
right now,
to be able to
You're on
talk
YouTube.
increasingly
But first of-
about self-empowerment
Well,
for a part of the population
well-
that has never had any power.
Well, the thing that we wanted to make sure, this is what Jerome was pointing out when you were there. He was pointing out that we are been broadcasting, which you already know, we've been broadcasting live over one of our YouTube channels so that people from around the diaspora can, this is it. So people from around anywhere in the world, millions of people can get on our YouTube channel and see that we have Rick Motivation Young. And now we just lost the professor. We just lost the king. We just lost the king. We just lost the king.
Don't worry, I'm gonna get him for a real
We lost
interview.
the king. He came in. He sat down in the chair.
Don't worry, I'll get him for an
And
interview.
and all we heard him saying on the phone was, "Yes, Mr. President. Yes, Mr." But in his stead, we have Rick Motivation Young. And we get ready to wrap up because we probably won't be able to catch Carlton again. But Rick, you missed we're broadcasting live on YouTube, by the way, on a YouTube channel. And Rick, you missed a very lively conversation, and there was some cursing going on. So I'm glad you weren't here because you don't do all of that. And wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, the king is back. The king is back. Up comes Frazier. We thought he was down. Nice. So, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Is your mic on, Mr. Davis?
Yes, my mic is on.
Okay. Rick? We can hear you.
What's that?
Thank you. Thank you. Your mic's working. Mr. Davis, can you very briefly give us your 30,000-mile, 2-second view of what we're doing here? And by the way, Butch called me, so we're ready for over there. This private conversation. Go ahead.
Well, what we're doing is, as was stated earlier, we revolutionizing. We at a point where we are in control of the things we do in New York City. We're going to branch out and become more successful, more sustainable than any other housing developments that's left in the city. We're going to be a unique fighting force for a better quality for our residents all over the world, if it's possible.
A mean, clean fighting machine.
That's right.
And we got our trainer with us for the mean, clean fighting machine. Rick, I got candy in my mouth, yo.
Well, I like to know. Who's that?
That's the professor, Professor Dotson, the Rhodes Scholar, the lawyer, Columbia All-American, NBA draft choice, played for the Knicks, got drafted by the Phoenix Suns, got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and he's also a lawyer, and he's a Rhodes Scholar. He's on the phone because he's my pal, my buddy, and I asked him to come in and say a few words, and he's been talking for an hour.
Okay, well, what I like to know, when is that phone right there going to be up and running? That telephone right there.
Next question. Because when Mr. Davis is here, there's no technical question. He just told you that we running shit. He told you that. He said we running shit, we expanding shit, we moving things around. Boom. I was going to say this to Davis. There was a white guy in here earlier, Mr. Dave Burson, who's a reporter, and he's on a show that me and Stu produce up at the college, and I said, boy, we got this station so that we can say any kind of shit that we want. He sat there in that same chair with Joe Ron and said, oh, they're gonna, they can take your license. And both Stu and I looked at him and said, they can't take a license when you don't need one. You don't need no license to do what we doing, baby. So you can't take it. This is unlicensed. We're unlicensed. And when we provide internet service, guess what frequency we use? The unlicensed frequency. What most people don't know, that the internet has been classified by the FCC as an information service. So what does that mean? Nobody can fucking regulate it. You ain't got to pay the city nothing to provide the service. So the internet service that we provide here, the city don't get none out of it. Because you know why? They don't give us none of their money. Because they keep it all for one group of people who don't look like none of us. They look like the head disruptor in charge. The DIC.
Well, I have an issue.
Well, it reminds me of the way we used to end the show. Make sure you listen and tune in next week. You just might learn something.
Hey, Professor, man. Hey, Professor, they laughing, but they don't know that's really true. And I got the tapes at home, and so do you, to prove that.
Yes, I do.
That's exactly. And that line means a lot, because if people do tune in to Live on Sunday here at Grand Houses Community Radio, GHCR.NYC, or on our YouTube channel, which I was testing today while Brother Leroy was here, because I was saying to myself, we got to have a way where we can get to a lot of people over our YouTube channel, because people can go on their phone and look at the YouTube. And the beauty of that is that it archives everything there. So this whole show will be archived, and people can go to our YouTube channel and they can see all the stuff that's here. So that's how we're going to try to do most of the shows going forward, so that the shows will be available for the people who come in or who miss something. They can just go to the YouTube channel and watch it. And watch it. And of course, we have our cameras here. We have our trusty high-tech camera right here.
And where's the professor calling from?
The professor is calling from his, in fact, I want to say this. If you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see a podcast, 5 or 6 podcasts that we did with the professor up at his studio called the Pro Pyramid Chronicles. And he has all of these educational and historical artifacts up at the crib. And you can see the video. I was telling Jerome, one of the things he showed us was he whipped out a Life magazine from 1967, and it had all of these black guys in Watts on the wall. You would have thought it was 2016. They was stop and frisk. The police had all of these young black guys from this is 1967 on the wall, and I was stunned. So a lot of things have not changed because we haven't looked at our history. We haven't been smart. We haven't had things like this where we could freely talk about what's really going on and reach out to the people in the community, the non-believers. And one of the things
that is changing.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to thank Mr. Davis here, because before you came, Mr. Davis, when the white guy was here, David, I was talking about how Rick helped us to be able to talk to you so that we could come in and pitch our ideas, and how you were receptive to that and decided that you wanted to try to help make that happen, and you gave us the chance to do that. And now we have something like this where this act that actually works, and we have a lot of experienced people to help to move this thing forward, and I'm excited about that. And, you know, hopefully we'll be able to start hitting some of the other buildings and making sure that the other buildings have their little FM transmitter so that we could speak to them, and when there's some bullshit, we could call it out, and we ain't got to listen to somebody else trying to interpolate whatever the fuck we saying. Oh, is that a real word? Interpolate?
No, you meant to say
No, it's
interpreted.
That's not a real word. I heard Donald Trump use that word. He said, I got a big new word. Interpolate.
Well, I said that you were thriving in the age of Trump. That has a lot of components.
Now, Hayward, no need, like I said, no need to get personal. People don't need to know that we did 250 shows up at there, and normally, maybe next week when you come in, when you call in next week and be a part of the show, maybe next week you'll get into your baseball shit that you love so well. You know, I like basketball, so when the basketball season come, I'm ready. But we got Rick Young here, who is a boxer, and he's been talking a lot of shit about how good he is on the monkey bars and all that. So much so, Professor, that today, for the first time in about, 10 years, I told him that I might consider taking him out on the court and dusting his little ass off, even though he ain't little. And you know, we never talk like that anymore, ever. Yeah, we never use that anymore. But he kind of makes you want to talk like that to him, even though I ain't gonna be doing. I ain't gonna bust a grape, Brick. We good. I ain't busting a grape. All right, Professor. As you said already, if they tune in next week here at 95.9 FM and on our YouTube channel at live at Grand Houses, if you tune in, you just might learn something. We'll see everybody next week. And Mr. Davis, you want to do some final words before you go?
Oh man, let's just keep the strength up and keep this going to where we have a line outside our doors, waiting for people to get in.
I didn't know you wanted it. I thought you didn't want no line. I thought you wanted to say, we got no food in here.
We have our budget now.
Okay, you heard it first. So don't say that in front of the professor, man. Don't say that to him, man. I'm in trouble with him. He's going to be talking about his reparations. All right, everybody. We out, man. We're going to be seeing y'all next week, and thank you for tuning in. And Rick, you got any final thoughts, Rick?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Doug Clyde Frazier.
Who the hell is that?
Doug Clyde.
All right, Doug, I will be calling you this evening.
Okay, man, later. Hey, Rick, this is what I wanted to say, Rick. When you was saying that, I wanted to tell that I was at I played in that game I told you where Joe Hammond scored 73 points, and the coach who coached us, he died, and all of us was at his funeral, and so everybody got to try to say something nice about the dead guy, and I got up and I told him that when we were playing, a lot of people talk about that game because it's a legendary game. But that at that game, Joe Hammond had 49 points at the half. And I thought I made a big mistake because instead of talking about all the assists that I had, because this is a guy, you play in the back home, he gets 49 points at the half, right? I should be talking about my assists. Instead of talking about that, as stupid as I was, I mentioned that the story that stuck out to me at halftime, and when you come out the gate at the Rucker Park, there's a fire hydrant there. Back in those days, all the players would go out to that fire hydrant to get their water. They would have it on to get the water because there was. I don't believe they had bottled water.
I remember that fire hydrant.
So we were out. So we was out there drinking at the fire hydrant, and Joe comes over there. I'm standing there next to him, and I looked at him. I said, "Joe, you got 49 points at the half, man." And I said, "You good? Jump on the bus and get on out of here. I got this. You got 49." And he looked at me like I was out of my mind. He looked at me and he said, "Not going to be able to do it." And he went on and scored like 25 more points in the second half. And I realized that the next time and he was at the funeral, by the way, and I realized that the next time that I talk about that story, I'm going to talk about how many assists I had, and not the fact that I asked him to go home at 49 points. What was I thinking? You know what I mean? So just wanted you to know that, Rick. So when you be talking about basketball, Rick, you don't know who you rolling with, bro.
Well, I tell you what, Joe would hit 50 points at half. Yeah, but he had 50 points on Julius Irving, so I don't know if that was the same game.
No, it wasn't the same game. We were playing against Carlton. We played against the Carlton Green and Big. We were playing against the guys from across the street in the Polo Run. They had a team in the Moto. Yeah, we played against who got a trial with the Knicks, and he thought he was. We slayed them. We eviscerated them, Rick. You know the same thing that's going to happen to you if you ever try to take me over there on the monkey bars. Just letting you know.
Whoa.
I'm just letting you know.
I must contest. Look, the monkey bars, man, you be surprised. Look.
Oh, I'm a bad man on monkey bars.
You had guys, man, that learned to shoot one of the most prolific jump shots in playground.
I ain't shooting no jump. I already know what's gonna happen. I ain't shooting no jump shots on the monkey bars. I'm taking it to the bar every time. Taking them dunking Rick in there. I'm busting his duty hole, man. I'm hurting him, man. I'm gonna put a hurting on him, Jack. I mean, I'm gonna be like. Let me just say this, Rick. Just give you a quick little story about the attitude. Playing in the game, we playing in the championship game. I'm in the backcourt with the great Gus Williams.
Oh wow!
We're playing against Brooklyn, World Be Free, World Be Free, and Jocko Henderson are in the backcourt playing against me and Gunn. Both of them were in the NBA. But Jocko got drafted by the Knicks. The coach of the team looks at me, Joe Ron. He says, "Doug, I don't want you to shoot the ball unless you are open." And I looked at him and I said, "Coach, I'm open when I leave the crib." Then I looked at Gus, "What about you?" He said, "Yeah." The coach never said nothing to me the rest of the year. And that's the happiness as a backcourt player is playing for a coach who never says shit to you. It don't get no better as a basketball player. It don't get no better than that. You know, other than maybe people don't beat the crap out of you, but it ain't going to happen if you're a good player. You're going to get the crap beat out of you, particularly on the NBA level. It's like being a boxer and think nobody's going to hit you with a jab. Not going to be able to do it. You're getting hit, baby. And you're going to get hit a lot if you ain't careful. It ain't going to hurt.
Yeah.
Because people in the hurt business. And I just want to say this to wrap it up. There's only two athletes, the two toughest athletes in professional sports. Joe Ron. Who are they? The two toughest. Rick Young, the two toughest athletes in sports.
Currently or in the past?
Anytime. Not by name, professions. The two toughest type of
boxing and football.
Rick.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Mr. Davis.
Football and wrestling.
Are you trying to tell me
when I jump off the top turnbuckle or the top rope or the top of a cage and I'm 250 pounds plus and I land on top of you, I think that's you gotta be tough.
Wait a minute, Mr. Davis, with all due respect, are you telling us that we should take Ravishing Rick Rude seriously? The man who has his face on his ass? Who's one of my favorite wrestlers, by the way. I don't know if anybody know him. Do y'all remember that?
Ravishing Rick Rude.
You taking the ruler. You taking the
Rude Awakening was his signature move. I know about him.
So you saying that he was more tougher than a boxer?
Hell yeah. First of all, you got to learn the analogy of these people. Rick Rude had a punch, man, that if he can slap the shit out of you.
Well, you know,
literally,
for
real.
He must have been talking to my mother.
In real life, no.
He was talking to my mother because she was a big advocate of getting the shit slapped out of you.
He had an open hand punch that wrestlers were scared to wrestle.
Get out.
You gotta.
What about anybody like the Bricker Brothers? The Bushwhackers.
Oh yeah, Luke and Duke.
That was one. Rick, that was one of my basketball nicknames. Bushwhacker.
What the heck does that mean?
Thank you. Thank you. You find out after the game. You can find out if we go on those monkey balls, motherfucker. We get over those monkey balls, you're going to find out what the bushwhacker means.
Bushwhacker is somebody who come out the bushes and
start whacking it. We get on those monkey balls, you're going to know how I got that name.
They were New Zealand or Aborigine.
He meant that they was from
kind of hunting.
He was they're from the New Zealand on the Lynx Avenue, where I'm from. Yeah. I made that shit up. I just made
Now, Doug, I know I seem like you saying all of this, you doing this talking. I know I seem like a nice dude. I am a nice guy.
You ain't a nice guy. You're a boxer. You're not a nice guy, but I'm tired of you calling me out.
Discipline.
I'm tired of you calling me out, Joe Frazier.
I do know how.
I'm tired of you, Aguero.
I do know.
Aguero.
I know how to punish people.
I'm tired of you. I'm tired of you, Aguero. Aguero.
You must have never seen Rick's fights. You better YouTube.
No, you know that's why.
Let me tell you something.
Hey, look, that's why you think I'm talking junk. Why you think I'm talking junk?
I know you talking junk.
I ain't backing none of that shit up.
You talking to guys that was in the Hurt game.
I ain't backing none of that up. I ain't none of this shit that I'm saying is gonna happen. That ain't happening.
He's longer than I am. You know, as far as
I ain't messing with neither one of y'all. I don't try to
tell you something. Rick is an all around.
I seen him. He dig this.
I'm telling you that.
He showed me a tape. He showed me the videotape.
But I'm telling you, without the tape, I've seen him fight. This guy, man, you talking about intelligent fighter?
Yeah. I'm talking about
that man
fighter.
Is a very prolific.
I believe that. Listen, last week he asked me, on the air, he asked me, could I get in the ring with him to go a few rounds? I said, hell to the no. Okay, this week I'm challenging him just to get back at him a little bit, because, I got a little ego, about going on the monkey bars. Now, are we really going on the monkey bars? Hell to the no, because I'm not in condition. But if I was Rick, if I was Aguero, if I was, and my favorite fighter is Aaron Pryor.
Were you lucky?
Aaron Pryor. What was Aaron Pryor's nickname?
The Hawk.
The Hawk. Hawk time, baby. What time is it? Hawk time.
Too bad the monkey bars.
I love him, man.
Too bad the
I don't know. Joe Ron, do you know who he is?
Nope.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him, man.
The monkey bars do not stand anymore.
Hey, Rick.
They are no longer up.
Rick, he doesn't know who the Hawk is.
You got to get your world.
Can you just tell him, can you give him 30 seconds of the Hawk, please? 15 seconds, the Hawk?
We need to build bridges. That's what teaching is, building bridges, man.
Okay, he's getting educated now.
Let me tell you something. The Hawk.
He being all educated now. He don't want to talk about the Hawk. He being all educated because I said something about the monkey bars. I take that all back. I didn't mean that about the monkey bars, Rick.
The original Hawk was a devastating, how you would say, power driving puncher.
What year we talking?
Well,
don't matter. You get in the ring with the Hawk, you gonna know what year. You gonna know what year it was.
He started off 130 and went all the way up to 140, 147.
And I guarantee you this about the Hawk: nobody's gonna throw more punches in the fight than he is.
What was the era? He threw the classic Clay era.
He was with the Sugar Rays.
No, Sugar Rays
in the 80s.
No,
Tommy Hearn and all, right?
Would not even fight.
No, he would not.
He wouldn't fight him.
He was doing that era with Tommy Hearn and all that.
Yeah, it was in the same
era. Alexis Aguayo.
And Aaron Pryor
and the white guy. What was the white guy?
Who I love, Ray Leonard.
What about Mancini? Mancini was in that.
Boom, yeah.
Boom was down then.
Come on, man. Don't
but he was in the era.
He was in the era, not the category.
Don't do that, man. Do not put his name in this conversation.
Just like don't talk about going to monkey bars. Don't do that, man.
What's wrong with you?
Don't talk about the monkey bars ain't standing no more either. Don't talk about that.
But Gerard, let me tell you something.
You don't want to talk about.
Aaron Pryor can throw over 100 punches per round.
Aaron Pryor beat Tommy Hearns.
Wow!
It was in the amateurs.
Wow!
It was in the amateurs.
Wow!
Hey, what dude?
That's the hitman.
9 feet tall. Aaron Pryor is
5'6".
Wow!
Yeah,
his nickname was the Hawk, and he was the first guy that had the entourage in the room. And when he would come out to the thing, they would go, "What time is it? Hawk time. What time? Is it? Hawk time." We loved him, man. Yeah. Something happened to his eye, right? Is that why something happened to his eye?
He's passed on. He's made his transition.
No, I did not know that.
No, I didn't know that.
He did.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he did.
He was something else, man.
Well, I saw him look at his videos.
Man. Oh man, he was talking.
We're talking about 100.
He didn't fight nothing like that. What you just did.
He was a power driver.
I don't know what that was. You were just doing.
What are you talking about? I was showing an unprofessional.
Yeah, but that's something. No, you don't do that with Aaron.
I mean, like when you shoot that jump shot on the monkey bar, that don't fake. When you shoot that little fake monkey bar jump shot, you talking about that? Huh? Hey, look! Don't be messing with me, Trigger. Don't be messing with me, man.
I seen Aaron Pryor train in Gleason's gym when he was getting ready for Aguayo. He was ready.
Aguayo!
He was ready.
That was a great fight. That's what you want to type in there, Joe.
Aaron Pryor
versus Aguero.
The first fight. Well, actually, both fights, but the first one was.
What was it? Alexis. What's his name? Alexis Aguero. We got. Hey, look, we got to get out of it, but we got to come back and do get the boxing, get the sports roundtable because you know when the NBA is going to be coming up soon, we're going to have to get. I don't know, Jerron know anything about sports.
Just for your information, at one point it was mentioned that I might be possibly boxing Alexis Aguayo in a real match.
Get out.
Yeah, didn't happen though.
Wow.
I think I'm kind of glad it didn't happen though, but yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, hey, he was a great fighter.
He was
a great fighter.
He knew how to break you down and how to break you apart.
And he was tall. Yeah, he was tall.
He would set you up rounds. He was a classic boxer.
Yeah, he was.
And the second Hawk was a beast of a puncher, and that was Julian the Hawk Jackson.
I don't remember him.
I mean, he was one of the most wicked.
Yeah.
So let me
look him up too.
Let me ask both of y'all about what's the name winning his fight last time.
Coconut.
I thought he was washed up.
Who's that?
Pacquiao.
Nah.
I thought he was washed up. He just beat somebody for the championship last 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. What do you think about that?
This is the thing about Pacquiao from boxing enthusiasts and stuff. Pacquiao came from 105 pounds. He was enthusiastic. That's beyond. Beyond just being one. That's one more.
My apologies.
Yeah, remember that.
Enthusiastics means that there's more than one.
Fucking get hooked over here.
Yeah, that means more than one person is enthused about what we're talking about. So, Pacquiao started.
You got something to say about that?
105 pounds. You hear me? He was hungry. He's still hungry. I'll be hungry too if I'm building people's houses. You know what I'm saying? I'm a senator, and he's just getting up in weight. You know, 105. He won championships in 8 or 9 divisions. Bro.
Yeah.
I don't know how that. You know, I remember being in college and playing basketball. You know, you had to keep yourself. They make you keep yourself a certain weight. That shit was hard, man.
Well,
how you feel about that weight weight?
He was so hungry that he came in at 104 pounds when he first started.
That's crazy.
And he worked his way up to 154 pounds.
So what was your fighting weight, Carl?
My fighting weight, I came down from 180 to 147.
Wow.
And I was just
I
could blow a snot at you and knock you out. So,
wow.
Yeah,
That's a long way down, man.
It was. If you seen me,
no, I understand.
You talk about venom.
How do you?
Oh my God.
How do you, as a boxer? I mean, I have a hard time with that weight. That weight shit drove me crazy.
Well, 1.5 meal a day. Still,
because you can't eat. You can't fucking eat. You know, you got to like only eat certain things. You know, because in college thing, they keep a chart every day of practice how much you weigh.
Yeah.
And they make you stay within a certain range. But that is nothing compared to what a boxer got to do, because a boxer got to be a certain weight so he can make his living.
Let me tell you something. One of my fights en route to the semifinals and everything. I came in. I was 147 pounds. Before we came to the gym, I told Amin. I don't know if y'all most know Amin. Jesse Gibbs. I said, look, man, I'm hungry, man. I gotta eat. You know what I'm saying? I'm famished. I took a bite of a Three Musketeers and put 7 pounds on.
That shit had that much calories in it?
No, my body just chewed it all up.
Damn.
And I had to be wrapped in saran wrap and a hot shower.
That weight thing drives you crazy.
Up and down the steps, and came out and knocked the motherfucker out.
Was that his middle name?
Who?
Motherfucker.
Close to. Because to lose that much weight, and then I had the first fight. Oh, I got to get rid of you, bro.
How about you? Rick? How about you? You had any issues with? Because I know I had a hard time with the weight.
I had one time I came in a little bit overweight. I had to go in the bathroom and kind of sweat it out a little bit. But I was usually pretty good with my weight. I wasn't a big guy. So
anyway, I seen that from the video that you showed me. That's why I'm pretty confident that I could bust your behind up.
But I wasn't a big guy, but I knew how to take care of business.
Like I said, when I seen how little you was in that tape, I said I could bust you up on the monkey bars.
Speaking of take care of business, I would put up any amount of money if you could get that brother, to step in the ring with me. I would put up any amount of.
Oh man, sound like a grudge. Sound like a grudge. Sound like a grudge.
I doubt if Amin can even get up the steps. Nonetheless,
Let me ask you a question. There's a guy that has on Sundays when I come there. I see there's a guy out there that has all the kids over there and the things. That somebody affiliated with you?
what kids?
Right there in the little
13, 15?
right there in the little schoolyard over there. There'll be ladies and out there on Sundays with a lot of little kids, and they be doing some basketball drills. You know anything about
Brown skin,
that?
dark skin guy, right?
Yeah, big tall dark
yeah,
skin.
like
That's Dwayne Baldy Campbell.
Is he one of your homies? Is that something sponsored by you?
I helped him.
Is that sponsored by you?
It's not sponsored by me, but
Y'all helped him?
2009, I helped write a proposal, and he's been here for 10 years.
Okay, because the reason why I asked that because I wanted to ask him, Kenny, because I was actually talking to. I got invited up to the Rucker for some legend shit, and all the players, the NBA guys. There's a lot of players up there. This was I think like a couple of weeks ago, and he was up there, and we was all starting talking, and I didn't know that he did. And so I was walking through, so I was going to ask him, will you come in here and talk about busting Rick's ass, see if he...
Baldy used to play ball, man.
Line him up.
Baldy was a ball player. He was never into the boxing philosophy.
That's why I want to
not by thought or physicality.
That's why I want to get him in. Let him talk basketball in front of Rick, because Rick going to fix him. Because Rick don't play that. Homie don't play that.
Well,
No, I'm just kidding though about the boxing thing, ladies and gentlemen. Those listening, I'm just kidding about the thing with Rick. I'm not playing Rick doing nothing. But I did agree to maybe one day play some 5-2 with Rick.
5'2".
Yeah. We could, that's, because then it's like, because he asked me about, because I had the same conversation going with Rick with Moto. But Moto was working up at Yeshiva University. He was a trainer. He didn't tell me that. So he was working at Yeshiva University as a trainer every day. And he came there, and we were over at the bathhouse, and he said, let's play. And I had, I ain't going to make no excuses, but he beat me. One-on-one. And then when he told me he was a trainer, he worked at the university, I said, oh, you job bitch, you. And then he made me get on the radio. He said, I'm coming on the radio. As the bet was that, he would come, if I beat him, he would come on the radio. But since I lost, he said, I'm going to come on anyway, and I want you to tell everybody that you beat me, which I did. And then I used that same trick when we played an exhibition game against WBLS. And I bet I forgot his name, Ken something, that if we beat them, he had to come on our show.
Ken Spiderweb?
Ken Spiderweb. He had to come on the show with the professor there. But when he came there, he saw that it was Gus, me, Mike Vann, the professor, all of the NBA guys. And he had his little stormtroopers from the BLS team. And, but they're all good players. We were street players, but none of them was pros. So, we tore their asses up. And we made, when he came on the show, he had to tell everybody that he had to drink a bottle of Whoa. And a bottle of Whoa. W-O-E, Whoa. You know what Whoa is? Like, whoa, shit. Whoa. So that's what I'm saying to you, Rick. You might not want to mess around, man, because, I'll have people drinking a bottle of Whoa. See, he's speechless. He's mad. Speechless, baby. What do you think, Rick? All right. Anyway, we're gonna get off the air, man. And we'll see y'all guys next week, man.
Deuces.
Deuces.